Hello and welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm your usual host Joe Scott and I'm joined by Tony. Tony's in RT. How are you, Tony?
Oh, I'm so glad we got the Gachi lights back.
Oh
I forgot
yeah.
it was Christmas.
Well, it's Christmas behind me right now on my webcam.
Yeah,
I've got
you went all out on the decoration.
I've got a roaring fire behind me, ready to go. It's keeping me nice and warm. So
yeah.
No longer in TOS. So
Well, you're on the holodeck, surely.
yeah, I must be. Moriarty's around somewhere trying to escape.
Yeah.
But yeah. This week we've got coming up Yorkshire Tea controller and Steam making wireless VR streaming to Oculus much easier with their brand new Steam Link VR app.
Yeah, and Gabe Newell coming in person to a Washington court near you.
We'll have to see about that because I feel like that lawsuit's a little bit bullshit. Apparently,
it's bullshit, but
apparently
I think he has to go.
They tried to get him to come before, but they were like health concerns because of COVID was what they were saying.
Yeah, they've ruled that out. They've ruled that out now.
Mm.
They said he's not a high risk and it's not a pandemic. So
is there anything you want to talk about this week, Tony? Before I go into what I've been playing,
I think I've done too much, to be honest. I've been doing a lot of just like decorations around the house, but I'm not doing anything.
My room is fully Christmassy, but you can't see it because of the Christmas stuff that I've put up in front of the Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume the whole house is a festive tree.
It actually is very Christmassy in this house, yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, what I've been playing this week, What the Golf Among Us, Half-Life 1 Deathmatch, Hardcore Classic WoW, then Classic WoW Season of Discovery came out a couple of days ago. I've been playing that. Super Mario RPG came out like a few weeks ago. I actually sat down and played that for about 2 hours. BattleBit Remastered, I've been playing a few hours of that because it's on a free weekend. And Switch emulation, no, not that one. I've been playing Super Nintendo 64 and Game Boy emulation officially on the Nintendo Switch Online service to test it out and see what it's like.
Right, okay.
So is there any of those that interest you?
It's the problem, okay, I've seen a lot of the classic WoW and a little bit of Seasons of Discovery stuff. Kevin Tran never backs down. That's all
exactly.
That's my takeaway from that. I don't know.
It's pretty interesting stuff in there.
I don't know what the hell is What the Golf Among Us.
All right,
how do you Among Us golf?
So they What the Golf usually does collabs, like courses basically. And they collaborated with Among Us. It was like 36 courses or something like that. And yeah, so I've completed What the Golf. I've played most of it, and I usually try and reinstall it and play the set of new courses if those come out. And yeah, they did a collab with Among Us, and there was some crazy shit that happened, like being sus or shooting your golf ball into vents. Oh, you had to do tasks like you had to connect the wires like you would in Among Us. You had to turn the people into chickens before they push the emergency meeting button.
That's cool.
You had to figure out who the imposter was, and it's all golf themed. So, the weird thing about this one was like it came out first on the iOS version, and then took a while to actually come to the PC version. It seems like the devs are very much like, Apple Arcade first, and then they're like, okay, then we'll do it on the Steam version or whatever.
I see they're getting paid to do that, or some sort of
Well, they
incentive to do
just
that.
released
I
What the
don't know.
Car, which is an Apple Arcade exclusive. It's still not out on
Yeah,
PC, so um, I wanted to try that out because I think my dad just got another subscription. Like they always do these deals where they give you like 3 months of Apple TV, or
yeah,
and that's how I got Apple Arcade originally. It was like 3 months of Apple Arcade because you signed up to this phone contract or whatever, right?
yeah.
And I quite liked Apple Arcade, but I think I got Apple Arcade again for my new phone contract, and then at the same time my mum got it, so she was like, "Oh, we'll see if it could stack." So we just got it. She used it first, and then by the time I got round to it, I think it expired because I couldn't seem to use the code anymore. So
Right. It doesn't stack. Well, I guess it might, but
I don't know. Honestly, whenever I have my phone and I'm not, I don't have my Steam Deck, I just load up Slay the Spire. I own Slay the Spire
yeah.
on iOS, and it's just my go-to game. Like there's nothing else that really grips me on the phone, really. I mean, I'd be interested to try some of this. Like I've tried some of the Netflix stuff, and I'll be interested to try some more of the Netflix stuff when more of that stuff comes out. A lot of people don't know this. You can get mobile games through your Netflix subscription. I feel like nobody knows
Yeah.
this, despite me saying it like several times.
Well, it's just kind of a pain in the ass to set up, surely. Like, do you not need to download, or like you have to, like, do you have to download the
When I did
Netflix
it, you had to
app?
basically look at a list and search the App Store for it, and then link your Netflix account to the app or something like that.
Right.
I'll tell you what I downloaded because I think I still have them on my phone. I downloaded Hextech Mayhem, the League of Legends Ziggs autorunner, and Reigns
Oh, yes.
3K,
Yes.
the strategy one, and
Yeah.
I think I also tried out What the Golf on the phone, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And then I think I tried out a different one, but I can't remember what that was. What the Golf was through Apple Arcade, actually. That was on Netflix. But yeah, that's that's Among Us VR. It took me about half an hour to complete. I have footage of it, so if you ever want to see more of it, you can. But yeah, that's What the Golf Among Us. Should we move on to trailers?
Yeah,
I feel like there was a lot of like really interesting stuff I've been playing, and you're like, Among Us Golf, what is that? I'm like, well, okay, fair enough.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't. Which one did you want to talk about?
I really want to talk about Super Mario RPG, but I'll do a tangerine on that because that one is okay. I'll just preface by saying I've never played. I don't know if you know this. It's a Square Enix JRPG made with Square Enix and Nintendo. Like it's so like, and I've never played a Squeenix game. So it's my first ever Squeenix game, and it's a Mario RPG. So
you don't know which Final Fantasy it's like.
No, I'd never played a Final Fantasy.
Right. I guess I'll see you with Tangerine.
Based on my 2 hours, I'm very positive about the game.
Okay.
So we had PC Gaming did like its weird, awful PC Gaming show, but they did it through the guise of here's the 25 games we're the most excited about. So they were just counting down like we're hyped for this game the most. Like they had like a panel of like
interesting
streamers and game journalists,
foot letters,
and some industry people. I don't think I agreed with a lot of stuff. There was some stuff on the list that I agreed with, and some of the stuff I didn't agree with. But we can go through that later if you're interested. But basically,
it's just a list of like what they're most excited for. Like, I don't know how you would really put it in any order, but sure.
But there was a couple of announcements we got. So one of the big ones was there wasn't many. I only mentioned 2 because there really wasn't that many big enough. It was sort of like a classic PC game, a waste of time. And
Yeah.
yeah, Dwarf Fortress is getting an adventure mode. So you can play as a specific character. It's like a sort of like a slice of an overall Dwarf Fortress game. You can play as a specific character and have an adventure or like a party of adventurers inside like a smaller world sort of thing.
Right.
Which I think is pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
Without having to like manage one huge big colony. But I mean, I was watching one of the newest Red Letter Media videos, and I think one thing Jay said that really stuck with me was he was talking about a movie, and he said, "I admire this movie more than I like it." And I think Dwarf Fortress is a
Yeah.
game that I admire more than I like. Like, I
Yeah.
think Dwarf Fortress is
Yeah.
such a cool game, but I have no interest in playing it.
It's
No.
very
It's like
management heavy.
EVE Online is like a super
Yeah.
cool, expansive MMO where lots of
Yep.
crazy shit happens. I don't want to fill out spreadsheets, you know.
Well, my issue is like I could probably fill out spreadsheets for everything being like socially driven, where it's like basically like all PvP. I was like, that's not for me.
Yeah, and then the other one was Unreal 2, which I immediately was like, do we need an Unreal 2? Couldn't we just update Unreal 1? I don't know.
No.
I really like Unreal. I think it's a really cool game, but they're doing a
Yeah.
sequel, I guess, because it's easier to make money if you release a sequel rather than DLC or an
100%.
update. So it seems like the big changes they made, where in between the missions you can now choose different paths. It's sort of like a roguelite sort of element. I mean, the game was already kind of roguelitey because you would start and you would choose upgrades, and then if you failed your run, you would start again, right? But it seems like it's giving you more options to say, hey, if you go down this path, you can get this item or this stuff's going to happen to you. And the other big thing is they're allowing user-generated maps.
That's really cool. Is that a crab?
Yeah, it seems like there's boss battles as well, it seems like. So
Yeah.
I mean, this is a sort of game where I really enjoy it, but it's like hard to get friends to get together and play it sometimes because you need everyone to own it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can play it on my Steam Deck. So
what I'm seeing here is like I feel like it's enough changes to be a second game, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, this game feels like Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 for me, where I'm like, do we need another one? That's what it feels like to me.
I do feel like there's like definitely like a gray areas, like because like now it's like so easy to update games. Like before like 20 years ago, it's like, well, obviously it needs to be a new game. But now we're like, what is the point of like, should it be a new game or should it be an update? Should it be DLC? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, apparently it's gonna
like enough changes to me.
Apparently this one's gonna launch in early access as well, so we're gonna have to see how much content is out in release. Oh, Tony. Oh, but you haven't looked at this list, have you, Tony? What do you think the most hyped for game on the PC Gamer list was that hasn't come out yet? Because I know what I would say.
It hasn't come out like literally any game, right?
Yeah.
For me, I'm looking for Space Marine 2.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I
don't know what they would have said, though.
Personally, I would have said GTA 6 because it's probably the most hyped up game in the world right now, and it's proven track record. GTA 6 was number 13 on the list.
Okay, interesting.
And they put Helldivers 2 number 5. Who the fuck is sitting around waiting for Helldivers 2 to come out?
Okay.
Number 1 was Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. I'm like, yeah. Stalker's pretty hyped up game.
It's hyped. I don't know.
Okay, so some of them
is entirely subjective.
Yeah, okay. Some of them I agree with. Like they had number 2, the Elden Ring DLC. Okay, yeah, sure. Elden Ring, very hyped up. Number 3, Hades 2. Yep, Hades is a fucking sick game. I haven't said about that. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth number 4. I think the Yakuza games are cool, but that seems pretty high.
Are they? Yeah, they hyped that much? I'm not sure.
I don't know, because they had they had Marathon. They had Marathon number 10. They had Marathon ahead of Hollow Knight, Silksong, and GTA 6 for the most hyped for game.
Who's hyped for Marathon?
Avowed was number 17.
Oh god.
Like, I don't know.
So Are a lot of these advertising spots? Like, I'm just wondering, like, how
So
like.
in between all of these, they had advertising spots, but I'm assuming some of these
So
may have been
presumably these are like what they chose and weren't paid to put on the list.
because I remember
Presumably.
I remember in summer when they did E3, they specifically didn't have a sponsor, and I went, "Oh, were they in trouble because they couldn't secure a sponsor for this thing?" Apparently, it was Intel this time, so I saw a lot of adverts telling me that the
Interesting.
14900K is the best CPU in the
Oh,
world, and I need to get one of
13.5
those.
gen.
Yeah, yeah. I
Interesting.
I don't think it was a very good show. Probably not worth watching. I
No,
only
they've
watched
kind
it
of
because I
fallen
was
off over the
watching
years.
the way this works usually for me is I'm watching somebody on Twitch and then they go and watch it themselves. Like the Twitch meta is to
Yeah.
find the event to react to when it comes out, basically.
Right. Interesting.
Then I have Joe's weird VR game of the week. Tony, have you ever heard of the game Taskmaster? Have you ever heard of the TV show Taskmaster?
I've heard of Taskmaster, yeah.
Did you know it's getting
What?
it's getting an official VR game?
Are you gonna see really tall man in real life? That's huge.
Yeah.
I can't remember how tall. I can't even remember his name. But how tall
Alex? I think his name's
is he? Is that the
Alex.
host?
Well, who are you talking about? The host or the guy?
The guy in the really big shirt.
The guy in the really big. Is it
I think it's presented by
Greg
Is it
Davies?
Greg Davies? Yeah, it's Greg Davies. Okay, Greg
So,
Davies' height. This would give it. He's 2 meters. He's 6'8".
the Taskmaster is a show that loads of people in the UK love, and I know people around the world really love this show as well. Obviously, why it's getting
actually getting bigger recently.
a VR port. I've watched Taskmaster several times, and I'm not that into it. I sort of don't get the hype that much. I've
It's
tried.
a hype, but people like it.
I've watched it with several groups of people, and they seem to really be into it. And the entire time I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Like it's not something I would choose to watch. I don't know.
No, I'm not a big game show. Like I'm not big. A lot of people on there, I'm like, oh, I would watch them if it was like a comedy thing. But like I wouldn't. I don't like game show stuff, so it's not for me either. But yeah, a lot of people I know like it.
I just thought, what a great weird VR game of the week. I mean, I didn't expect to have Taskmaster VR on my VR list, but now I do. I mean, the other one I think
very
of
weird stylized.
is Wallace and Gromit VR coming out soon. On the,
I hope so.
I think it's coming out. I think it's a Quest exclusive. Let's have a look. See if I can see when that's coming out. Wait, what? With Thrills to announce that Nick Park's iconic duo are returning for a new film in 2024. What the hell? Wallace and Gromit: The Grand Getaway release date. Why is it so hard to find out when this is coming out? Surely it should be easy. It's like if I need to know that it's coming out on Steam, it's like, oh, I just click on it and, oh, yeah, that's when it's coming out. There's like...
Did they not have a proper release date then?
I think they announced one. It's 2023.
They're running out of time then.
Yeah. Because they released a trailer 2 weeks ago, and I thought, oh, if I click on this, it will tell me when it's coming out, but it does not have it in the description. Maybe if I skip to the end of the trailer. Wallace and Gromit and the Grand Getaway. MetaQuest 3, yeah. Coming out... It just ends. Okay, I have no fucking idea when this Wallace and Gromit game comes out then.
It's 2023, guys. Whatever that year is.
Yeah, okay, well. That exists and it's coming out soon TM. Let's move on to announcements. Uh, Sons of the Forest 1.0 launches February 22nd, 2024. So it'll be 1 year after it's been in early access. Sons of the Forest is officially coming out.
Oh, it's been a year already. That's crazy.
Yeah, I played it at the start of this year. I think it came out like
Yeah,
on my birthday or something crazy like that. Uh,
you
23rd of
had to play
February.
it.
Yep, came out on my birthday. So, um, yeah. After playing the game, because okay, my initial reaction was after playing The Forest after it had come out of early access or was pretty deep into development, was I'm gonna wait for it to come out into 1.0 state.
Yeah,
And my
yeah.
friend was like, "No, I want to play it straight away. I'm gonna get you a copy and we're gonna play it
He
for your
was so
birthday."
hyped.
And I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay." We played it for like, I see, 10 hours on record. So I played it for like 10 hours. We blasted through the campaign because there was not much content. It was like, well, that was kind of disappointing because it was so short and felt like there
how
wasn't that much to do from the early access state.
do you think in a year there's enough time for them to add
So
everything that
that's what
you'd
I was
want in
going
a
to
1.0
say.
release?
It feels very early to release a game after a year in early access, considering how long
Especially
games
considering
are
how short.
usually in early access.
Yeah, like Baldur's Gate 3. I know that's what it tried to do is like a very, but in terms of like how long is early access for, it's probably
We'll
pretty
have to wait. Apparently, they've been doing some
pretty
big
similar.
chunky updates, so we'll have to wait and see. But
Oh, they have been, have they? Okay.
I don't know. It does. It This isn't a game because after beating it, it's not a game where I'm feeling like, oh, as soon as 1.0 hits, I want to go back and play it again. You know, it's not making me.
You've not seen any big updates and go, oh, that's crazy. I didn't think that'd be in the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
my
you not
main
even looked
my
through
main
that.
complaints were the story was super short and felt rushed. Like there was entire
Right.
characters I did not understand who they were. They just like threw them at you, and then it sort of ends. And then as well, the base building was not good at all, especially compared to the
Okay.
original
What
Forest.
in terms of just like the actual mechanics of like placing
Yeah,
it, not
yeah.
okay.
They massively overhauled the mechanics, and there was barely anything you could build compared to the first. Like in the first game, you could build like entire churches and crazy stuff, and it felt
Yeah.
really cut back in the second game. Um, but we'll have to wait and
Interesting.
see.
Yeah.
I'll have a look and see what people think after the 1.0 release. Oh, Killer Instinct is now free to play on Steam. I don't know if you've ever heard of this or played this, but it is like the Xbox fighting game.
Yeah, I vaguely know of it, but I don't know like what its whole thing is. I don't know what its like
I
its
think
whole
because
thing is, I suppose.
it's got like battle toads and stuff like that. I mean, it's been on Steam for 6 years now, but it I think you had to buy it. But now what they're doing is they're making it free to
Oh, there's
play,
an anniversary edition on top
and
of it.
yeah, the
Okay.
10-year anniversary of Killer Instinct. So it came to Steam in 2017, but it's been 10 years, so it must have come out in 2013. So
Wait, so the single player's in the free vote? There's apparently a single
yeah,
player.
yeah. So there's a single player free version, but you get a free weekly rotating fighter, including online
Uh,
multiplayer. So if you want to unlock all the characters, you need to upgrade to the
you still
anniversary
need okay.
edition, which is 30
Well, okay, I
pounds.
think that you know what? I think that's a good way to go. I think that's
Hmm.
like you get either you try out like a limited version, but it's like okay, it's like very
Well,
limited, but
Tony, it's Steam Deck verified, so if you want to try it out, I can load it
oh
up
my
on
god.
my Steam
Well,
Deck.
okay, I was watching the Second Wind podcast,
Yeah,
like their first one, which is
yeah,
like obviously like on the Escapist before, but they got James Stephanie Sterling on. I don't know if you know about the name
yeah,
change of Jim
yeah,
Sterling, by the way. But they were talking about is it Street Fighter 6 that came out this year? Like
yeah.
apparently
Street
that they
Fighter
like
6 came out
changed
this year.
they like changed like it made me very interested because like Stephanie Sterling was like it's like I think I have the same problem I do. Is like the idea of fighting games is cool, but I've never been able to get into them. But apparently in
Mm.
Street Fighter 6 like changed well, there's like accessibility options like how you do combos that makes it easier. So it's like it's more strategic and less like knowing combos.
Right.
So I'm really interested in that game for like trying to
I think
understand fighting
the
games.
fighting games I'm the most interested in are platform fighters because I like the platforming
Yeah,
element.
they're cool as well. Yeah,
I like stuff like Super
Smash
Smash or
Bros. Yeah,
Multiverses or Nickelodeon All Star
yeah,
Brawl.
yeah. But I still, I think, there's a more. I think their buttons mapping for those sort of games is like the more simplified version. I think that
Yeah.
maybe is what Street Fighter 6 is based it upon. So,
Mm.
I think I think
Well,
that's a
there's
good
like
way to start with.
I think a lot of like old school fans would disagree with you. Like I don't have you ever heard of the Daigo parry? Um,
No.
so it's called
Well,
Moment. It's also called Moment 37. It's like it's one of the greatest
oh,
moments in esports
okay,
history.
yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know it was called that. Yes, okay.
Let's go,
Interestingly,
Justin.
in the Second Wind podcast, they also brought this up. It's like people
The
complaining that
Daigo
it's made it
parry,
too
yeah.
easy. People were
Because I don't know
making
if you
it
know
too
this,
easy.
but basically Daigo had to parry like frame perfect parry, like something crazy, like 20 inputs basically, and they could be upper, lower, or middle. So he had to like pixel perfect parry like 20 times in a row, and then he basically turns around on 1 HP and kills his opponent, which led to like one of the coolest moments in esports history. So this is why people are like, if you make this sort of stuff easy, because in Street Fighter 5 to parry compared to the old Street Fighter games, you basically just go tap 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 tap. You don't have to
Yeah.
do anything basically in order to parry all of the moves, which is
But
why I could see it from the other angle.
Yeah, but surely timing is still super important. Like I just feel like to me, it's like APM versus like in a strategy, like APM versus macro. I don't care about APM. Like I don't find that interesting. To me, the strategy is like positioning is way more interesting to me. Like making it easier to do
You
certain
think it's
moves
more
instead of just
interesting to
learning.
have a more strategic fighting game rather than
Yeah,
a
I
twitch
think
reaction fighting game?
I think there's a middle ground because I think what you're saying is like having like time, like making the time stuff like still super important. I think
Like
still
for
makes
me,
sense. But why is it so combo based to do that? Like I feel like it should be like a couple of buttons at most to do that, and then the timing is then what makes you win or not.
I don't know. I think the idea of the perfect parry is like a cool idea, but I don't think I would like to play that game.
No, that's what I mean. I'm way more interested in Street Fighter 6 than any other Street Fighter game. I don't care about the story of Street Fighter, but
But
it seems because of this change, I want to play it.
I just think it is one of the coolest moments in. Like, I'm not a Street Fighter fan, but I think it is one of the coolest esports moments ever.
I'm not a sports person in general either, but I think if I felt something that maybe not as much as they felt it, but like I felt something from like the crowd and stuff. Like it was
They went mental.
an amazing achievement. But I will say this, like I was saying in the podcast, there's like people complaining, like, oh, it just makes it easier. It's like, well, surely if it makes it easier, why are you, the expert, are bad at it? Like, why are you failing? Like, surely that just means you would just learn the combos quicker, and they would just.
Well, you have to think
now
about
they
skill
understand the strategy.
ceilings.
Well,
If you lower the skill
but you
ceilings
still.
and you're at the skill ceiling, it's way easier for somebody else to be at the skill ceiling, right?
You should still be winning though. You should still be statistically winning more often than not, even if at the skill ceiling, and especially if this is their first time learning the combo or not having to learn the combos. They must understand the strategy.
It depends, what the ski ceiling of the other aspects of
the
game is.
Absolutely, but I have a funny feeling that they just understood how to press the buttons more than actually understand the strategy. That's my honest belief. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm care more about the strategy than the quick response.
I think a lot of times, Street Fighter players or fighting players, they will input a lot of different button mash very fast, but they're trying to throw off their opponent and try and. Because if you're sat next to somebody in a tournament, you don't want them to be able to hear which button you're pressing.
Yeah.
So you're actually
100%.
trying to put in like fake inputs almost to try and be like, I'm going to hit this button now.
I think they're still feinting in Street Fighter 6. I think you still feint certain moves and things.
Like animation cancel.
Yeah.
It's like in Mordhau or Chivalry. You can wind up one attack and then cancel it and go into another attack.
Yeah,
which is
I think that's super important to have. I think fighting games do need that. I can't do that. I'm not high enough level to do that. But
I guess in a way, Chivalry and Mordhau are kind of fighting games.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're
They're
fighting
just
games.
not like a
Um,
standard fighting game.
they're not an arena fighting game.
Hmm. Well, you are kind of in an arena on a battlefield, and there is arena
Yeah, but it's
maps.
like it's much bigger and there's more people. It's not like one-on-one arena or
Right.
I wouldn't call it an arena. There is an arena. I agree with you, but it's not like what I would like. It's not like a wrestling arena or like something. It's like more like a map. I guess it's more of a nomenclature thing, but I would consider that a map, not an arena, personally.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I guess what we're saying is, there's two sides to the argument about
Yeah,
simplifying moves, and then there's also a big wide range of fighting games. It's not just your Street
and,
Fighters, your Mortal Kombat. There is
yeah, absolutely. And I think it is important to understand the nuances of like what people are actually complaining about because I think some people are full of it and not really saying stuff that makes sense, but then some of it might actually have a genuine position on each side. So.
Yeah. Next up, we have Cancellations. Dread Hunger is being delisted from Steam. It's leaving Steam on December 1st and shutting down January 1st, the servers. But the server tools are being handed over to the players, which is good to see. So if you
That's
are
really
a player of this game, you want to host your own custom server still, and you own the game, you'll be able to host your own server. It's sort of like a social deception game set on a boat going through the Arctic. What's the name? What's the name of that boat in the? Was it the Mayweather? Is that the one? What boat am I thinking of?
Insane.
Yeah, what am I thinking of?
It's like the Lost Polar Explorer.
Where basically they're going through the snow and then they get like stuck in the ice and they have to melt it, and it basically has that feeling of you need to constantly strive to survive, and there's one person who's trying to sabotage that sort of thing. That's how it works.
Okay, that's bad. Okay, I typed in ship name. I'm now getting Bowie Boatface. I don't think that's the right answer.
It was Bowie McBoatface. You got it 100% correct.
There's Beligica is like what's coming up. I don't know if that's what you're thinking of, but
okay. I thought there was a famous like English voyage.
Yeah,
but I can't.
Yeah, I don't know what the English one is. I can't find it. It's not Boaty, but Boatface.
The long lost ship of British polar explorer Sir John Franklin, the HMS Terror. Why the flip did you call it the HMS Terror?
That's like calling it HMS Sinkable.
The HMS Titanic 2, it will never sink. Okay. Delays, Tony. Your most hyped game, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, has been delayed to the second half of 2024. It was originally supposed to be coming out in the winter window of this year. But it's been delayed. So hopefully that means they're polishing it up and it's going to release in a very good state, because Warhammer 1 was sick. So
yeah, the couple of months ago, there's like some people got like hold of like an early access, like flown out to an early access version, so like a vertical slice version, right? It looked the clips I saw from that looked really good. So hopefully that the whole game is good.
And then Bulletstorm VR is received a small delay, now expected 2024. It was originally coming out December this year, but it's now coming out next year, January 18th.
I don't know how I feel like interpret delays anymore. Like I feel like at one point we're like, oh, they delayed it, that's a good thing. But now I'm like, but is it?
Tony, in the famous
words, they're actually gonna fix it.
Tony, in the famous words of Gabe Newell, late is just for a little while. Suck is forever.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
I agree. I think you should delay it.
We'll talk about that later when we get into the No Clip documentary.
Yeah. So I think Sea Skies 2 could have been delayed, and it would have only lived late for a little while. Now it sucks forever.
Releases, Tony, 20th of November, The Expanse, a Telltale series. So I don't know if we've mentioned this on the podcast, but me and you and some friends have been actually doing watch parties of The Expanse every week, and we are...
Yeah. It's on Amazon.
We are most of the way through season 2 now. So I
like
know who
3
this
quarters through.
character is based on the
Yeah,
show.
you finally met when in season 1 she's like barely in it,
Yeah.
and then just like,
So
oh,
she
okay, now
is
you understand.
a OPA person who works
Yes,
on Tycho Station for Fred Johnson, is what I know about this character.
yeah, and yeah.
She used to work for Ducky from Mad Men. So that's what I know
Yeah,
about
she
her.
used to work for Anderson Dawes on Series Station,
Listen,
which I
yeah,
believe
yeah.
this is where this is placed when it's like a prequel to how she got to Tycho Station.
Yeah. Okay, so this is pre Fred Johnson.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is very positive from the reviews. So,
Yeah, some people are saying it's boring, some people are saying it's good. I don't know. People
okay,
saying it's
top
like
review
very
saying
linear.
it's boring.
Yeah, they're saying it's like very linear and like very like a lot of like busy work.
Wow, just wow. I had
People
no
saying it's
idea what
very
I was getting
short.
myself into. As I know nothing about The Expanse, but I must say this was an amazing game. Although during the first 20 to 30 minutes of the first episode, I had my doubts. If this was for me, I pushed through then, and it paid off.
Yeah, personally, I kind of want to look into this. Like, I think I might
Yeah,
get it.
I'm more interested
Um,
now that I've started watching the
I
Expanse, the show.
I really like the character, and you now watched the base episode where like you finally see like how she reacts to stuff. So
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I want to see.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that bloody Telltale Star Trek game to come to Steam because I think it's an Epic exclusive.
Oh, is it?
Star Trek. What's it called? Game 2023. What was it called? Star Trek Resurgence.
Do we have a Ghostbusters Telltale game or something coming out soon as well? Was that not Tell? I can't. I can't remember what's going
Ghostbusters
on with the
Telltale.
Ghostbusters
I
thing.
don't know about that.
Was it? It might not have been Telltale. Like I just
So
looked at when it looked like Telltale.
January, February, March, April. May. So it came out May this year. The Star Trek game.
Okay.
And so if it has a year exclusivity, it might come out May next year. We'll have to wait and see when that's going to hop over
Right.
to Steam.
Mid to late spring.
Yeah. Then next up we have Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection. I didn't know there was a big
What?
Jurassic Park Classic Game Collection, but
No.
Limited Run Games, who are pretty cool. They do a lot of like physical releases of Switch games, and they do a lot of work getting classic games going. So they're a pretty cool company, and they've packaged them together so you can play all these old Jurassic Park games on Steam on your PC. No Steam Deck compatibility known yet, so potentially on your Steam Deck.
Well, load it up and see if it works.
Yeah, but this is really cool. I love video game preservation, and it's cool that you have a bundle on Steam you can get to play these old games.
Getting it to work on modern systems, yeah, it's good to see.
After 30 years, I'm finally able to play these games. There are 7 games in the collection. All are launchable from one Japan-themed main menu. No, sorry, I think that stands for Jurassic Park. I just assumed JP was Japan. It would be cool if it was Japan-themed.
Japan-themed.
All playable with an Xbox
you know what?
controller.
Can we Japan Jurassic Park, the next film idea? Here we go.
Jurassic Parku.
Yeah.
All playable with an Xbox controller. The games are written in 4x3 aspects, but you can use borders. Jurassic Park palm trees. If you hate black bars, you can apply filters. You can save the game whenever you want, but there is only one save slot for every game. Some of the annoying things: the game starts only in windowed mode. Full screen works only with Alt-Enter. In Jurassic Park SNES version, the JP passport photos aren't shown, only white pictures instead. I hope they will fix it. But I recommend for everyone this classic who loves Jurassic Park.
When they say windowed, are they complaining about like full screen windowed, like windowed? Sorry, I always get this one way around. Borderless
windowed. Yeah, I don't know.
Which I don't think is. I think people think it's a problem, and it's not actually. As far as I can tell, there's like no performance loss. Or are they talking about actual windowed, where it's like, oh, it's not like using the screen correctly?
So we got a recent review here saying it's good emulation, but the main menu interface is a mess. There's no manuals for the game, so good luck figuring out how to open the door, for example, in Jurassic Park Genesis as a raptor. Games have no cloud save support, so also good luck if you, like me, play both on PC and Steam Deck. Even the main menus have typos in Spanish. There are no graphic options of any kind in the options at all. Get if you absolutely love these games. If you want a collection of games because you love one or two of them, you're better with an emulator, to be honest. Limited run, Jurassic Park and the Carbon Engine deserve better than this. Good emulation, good selection of games, lack of basic options, lack of cloud saves on Steam. I think it would be nice if they added like cloud saves and like Steam Deck support would be nice to see.
I would like more save slots as well. That'd be nice. But that might be too much.
Next up, we have Sandbox. No, not that Sandbox from Gary Newman. Tony, I saw this and I immediately was flooded with memories of that Flash game I used to play as a kid, where you would put a bunch of TNT down and then you would drop a bunch of fire and it would ignite it, or you put down a bunch of oil and stuff like that. It's falling sand style particle sandbox now as circuits. So it seems like you can do exactly what I was talking about. You can ignite different elements and build different things. This game is making me like very nostalgic for those old Flash games I used to play.
I just feel like this one didn't, like, for me anyway, like there wasn't much to do. It is very much just, here's an interesting combinations you could do. I don't know. If people like it, it's cool. But yeah, it's good to see it.
Yeah.
Something similar back.
Let's have a look. I really like this game for the phone. So it was a phone game before it came to Steam. I like it still. Some ideas for the game: workshop, share creations, make mods, and textures. This game's also in early access. So this review is from early access in June. Okay, so this is the 1.0 release of the game. Interesting.
Right.
It's playable on deck. Improved on classic. A lot of people said they were playing it on Android. But yeah, looks really cool. The new update is the best. Next up, we have Dead by Daylight Chucky chapter came out the 28th of November, and it's very positive, which is a rarity these days, it feels like, for Dead by Daylight chapters, because it seems like every time I read the review of a new chapter on DVD, somebody goes, they've ruined the game. Behavior Interactive has no idea what they're doing. This killer is so OP, or this killer sucks.
I was like, because you seemed like you're excited for the actual new killers, but like people like saying like the balance of the new killers are bad though.
I mean, ultimately, I'm always excited to see new killers in the game, especially if they play like they do in their films.
Yeah,
like I like one of my favorite.
Looks hilarious.
One of my favorite. I've seen like the video of. I think did I show the not? How do you pronounce it? Not Odystarvus, or however you pronounce his name.
From where?
YouTube. Not Otsdarva. I don't know how you pronounce that.
I don't know.
But I watched. He's like a big Dead by Daylight YouTuber, basically.
Right.
Let me send you a link. But I saw him basically showing off all of the new. So the way. I think I mentioned this, but Chucky's spirit picks up the survivor and carries him. And then when you're playing as Chucky, you're just running around with a knife as a little character. And all I'm saying is, guys, we have the technology to do a small killer. If we get a gang of small killers...
Gremlin.
It's the last... We've got fucking what? We got xenomorphs. We have...
Yeah.
We got Freddy, we got Michael Myers, we've got fucking Bubba, we've got Ghostface Killer from the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, we've got all the big killers, right? When are we getting Gremlins? Let's see what people say. Finally, the most terrifying thing in DVD yet, a child. Why would you not want a killer that cusses at survivors? Yeah, he swears a lot from what I saw as well, which is very... key to the Chucky films from what I've seen. So
yeah, I appreciate that they kept that style in.
This is my dream DLC next to Jason. With the copyright stuff, that is never gonna happen. Oh, Tony, did I tell you I watched Freddy vs. Jason now?
You've watched it now. Okay.
Yeah. What did I think of the film? It feels
Yeah,
very much more like a Nightmare on Elm Street film than it does a Friday the
yeah,
13th film, in my opinion.
yeah.
It may just be because Jason is a silent killer, but I don't know.
I personally,
Freddy kind of makes Jason his bitch in that film. I'm gonna be honest.
yeah, my opinion is that I wanted the start of the film to be like a Freddy film, right? And then Jason just comes in to like stop the bullshit, and
Well,
then they face it off.
the way the film works is in the end of the last film, Freddy gets sent to hell,
Yeah,
and then at the end of I think it's Friday the 13th part. It has to be 9 because it's before Jason
yeah,
X.
it's nine, yeah,
He gets
because X
blown
is
up
first.
by the CAA and he goes to hell.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
fucking basically Freddy sends Jason up to go and murder people. Everyone's forgot about Freddy, and Freddy's powers are basically that when they're scared of him, he becomes powerful. So he somehow sends Jason up to go and kill people, and then they start getting. He sends them to go and kill people
See,
in the. He sends them up to go and kill people in the house where he originally went to go kill people, and they start going, "Oh, Freddy's
yeah,
back! Freddy's back!" And that's how
I don't
Freddy
like
gets the
that.
ability to come
To
back.
me, to me, Freddy is almost like who Jason would want to kill. Like Freddy is like the type of character that Jason would want to kill. Like I just feel like it should have been
Well, Jason
almost
hates
like two films
pranksters,
coming
and
together.
Freddy is the ultimate prankster in
Yeah,
those films. So
I would have loved it to be like almost like two halves of like a half Freddy film, half Jason film with like the kids and like them, like the dreams and stuff, and then it comes to a head when Jason and Freddy meet each other. Like that's what I would want, but it's not what we got.
well, if I remember correctly, that's like the Freddy versus Jason is the film where. No, it's not right. I think that's the film before it. I'm thinking of the.
Which one? Well, which part are you thinking?
I'm thinking of the one where there's like the kid with who's deaf, and then he gives him hearing, and then he
Oh
makes.
no, yeah,
That's a
there's
Nightmare
quite
on
a
Elm
few
Street
films
Part
before that.
6, I think.
Is this part six? I thought it was like
Yeah,
part five. Is it part six? Is it okay?
but yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
yeah. Anyway, back to what we were doing. Next up we have David Go VR versus PC. I feel like I saw a post about this on Reddit like 5 years ago or something. It's like, guys, we're making this VR game where one person's in VR as a giant, and then there's a
Yeah.
bunch of little guys playing on a computer, and it's finally come out in early access. I mean, I played the beta test in the previous Steam VR festival thing they did, and I was
Got the
very
summer one.
confused what I was doing. Yeah, I think it was in the summer. I think they're doing another Steam VR thing, but not in the summer, which I'm like, thank fucking
Thank
God.
Yeah.
I think maybe they've learned that people don't want to play VR in the summer. Yeah, in 21 hours, Tony, the Steam VR Fest will start December 4th till the 11th of December. So there'll be a week of VR sales, I'm guessing, and probably some VR demos. So yeah, they're doing it in winter. But let's have a look what people are saying about the early access release of this. I decided to sit down and try and be the giant. My friend quickly figured out if they run underneath me, I will punch myself in the nuts IRL every single time trying to grab them. 10 out of 10 will pummel my own nuts again. It's a good game. They should just like buff Giant more and bring some back. Giant being able to move instead of having to move IRL. My experience was, this was back when I was on my Vive ones, was how I was annoyed how fucking slow the Giant was. Like it felt really awful to try and move around in that game. And I was just getting people just running circles around me as the little guys.
From what I saw, it didn't seem like that many like interesting mechanics of like what you're supposed to. There wasn't that many interactions like I thought that interesting, but I'm not a.
It seems like a lot of reviews are, please God, bring back Giant movement.
Interesting.
But yeah, it seems people are saying it's like human favored right now. I don't know. But yeah, maybe something to wait on because it's just released in early access. I don't think I'll be picking this up anytime soon based on my beta experience.
Yeah.
Then next up we have 30th of November. I think this was announced on the. Was this announced on the PC Gamer thing or potentially? But there's a Fury demake called The Chain, and it's a free-to-play 8-bit inspired version of Fury's first boss battle against The Chain. So they've done this cool thing where they've basically demaked the first Fury battle as a free-to-play game on Steam, which is really cool to see.
That's cool. Nice.
Let's put the trailer on and see what it's
Oh,
like.
I keep reading it as furry though.
Oh yeah, well I saw a rabbit, so it's a furry game. Fury's one of those games that I've never played, but I have the soundtrack on my game soundtrack list because it's so good.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Toxic Avenger is like the big artist that. If I played you the Toxic Art,
What's that?
the Toxic Avenger, you would be like, oh, I've heard this song before.
Okay. I like.
My Only Chance by the Toxic Avenger. And if I send it to you, you can tell me if you've heard something similar to this before. Now moving on to December.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. SteamWorld Build came out on December 1st. We did a spotlight on it, and I was very surprised how much I enjoyed it, given that I don't generally play city building games
like 70
or
minutes.
mining games. Interested to see how this one goes. It's a full release, and it seems very positive. I would love a mode where you could. I would love a mode where you play Anno and I play Dungeon Defender. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
But obviously, they would have to add a bit more to each of them because otherwise you'd be...
Yeah, because they're both very light. Like the way they've like balanced it is like, oh,
yeah, you kind of need to go between the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the reviews though, because they just don't mess with the SteamWorld games, do they? Like in my opinion, SteamWorld Dig 1 and 2 are probably two of the best Metroidvania games ever made, and they're two of the most underrated games of all time. They are so good. And they just keep... Go on.
Do they sell well though, didn't they, or do they not? I
think they sold well. I think people just... I think people just forgot about them, to be honest.
Just forgot about like awards sort of thing. Like they didn't like rate them high.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Let's have a look at the reviews though. This game collects private data on you, and you'll never know unless you read the agreement. There's no option to opt out of it, and they explicitly state they are not responsible for what the tracking application does with your data. This game uses PlayFab to collect information about, example, your gameplay and device by downloading and using the game. You agree to the collection and use of information.
That is pretty standard, but there should still be an opt-out. I'm not too worried about that, but yeah, that should be a...
Let's have a look. SteamWorld Build is in no way a bad game, but instead of playing the different maps of it, I'd rather play Anno for the city management or Dungeon Keeper for the mining and fighting. The different maps don't change the gameplay much, which really hurts replayability. Get it when it's 50% off and you will probably love it. This game is pretty fun. It's a mix of city building games like Anno, City Skylines mixed with Dungeon Keeper games. You can build above ground and do stuff below, like get gold, build rooms for different tiers of guys down there, pick up a scanner.
I don't think City Skylines is the best comparison there.
The two things mixed together is great. I love City Builders and love Dungeon Keeper. It's a near perfect mixture of them both. The only thing the game needs is more maps down the road. For now, it's enough, but later I'd love more. And lastly, the font sizing an option to make it bigger, especially for Steam Deck. Is it verified? It's playable. It's playable. Performance is good, setting is cool, very, very good with the controller. First tried this during Steam Fest for the demo. Tried the full version on Game Pass on PC and Xbox. Enjoyed my time playing yesterday. Wonderful game, it's a lot of fun. If you're not sure about it, give it a try on Game Pass. End up liking it a ton, so I thought I would snag it for my Steam Deck. Itching to get back on this game. I played about 4 hours on Xbox Series X last night, about 2 hours on PC Games Pass, and ended up picking up the Steam version this morning.
Interesting.
If you like Anno or you like Dungeon Keeper, there's a wonderful mix of both. Well worth the low price of 35
Yeah,
Canadian dollars. I would honestly pay
I will
50.
say, so Anno tends to have like they have obviously like it's like first Anno like a city builder Anno style, right? They tend to
Yeah.
have like some other option. Like in Anno 1800, for example, you have expeditions. They're
Yeah.
like where you send some people off on ships to go and get stuff. Like to me, it's like the Dungeon Keeper stuff in SteamWorld Build is like that, but Dungeon Keeper. So like it's kind of yeah, it's interesting. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it has it's probably a better idea to put together than what they did with the just sending ships off.
So that came out December 1st, but we've got our game of the year that came out December 1st already. The Walking Dead Destinies, contender for the worst game of the year.
Okay.
I can't, but I feel like it's always the fucking Walking Dead games where it's like
Yeah, they're all
that.
bad. Well, apart from one,
Well,
they're all bad.
well, there's been a couple of like the Walking Dead VR game is really good. Saints and
Yep,
Sinners.
yep, yep.
Then there's the really good
Is there another
Telltale
one?
games. Yeah, Telltale games are really good.
Oh, well, the Telltale. Okay, I never looked into like the people like the Telltale games, did they?
Yeah,
I thought
but
like he got bad at the end or something, or like it got like drawn out. Yeah, I can't remember.
I feel like the Walking Dead is like they release a good one and then there's a shit like Walking Dead Onslaught. Was
Like
this
a
like one of the
really bad
bad
one.
ones? Like, yeah.
My opinion is that you've named the two good Walking Deads, and all the rest are bad. And I think there's like four bad ones, maybe five.
I don't think there is too many Walking Dead games.
No, there's not that many.
Because there's the
There's
Walking
been like
Dead bridge building game, Walking
what?
Dead Polybridge or whatever it's called.
Okay.
Bridge Constructor The Walking Dead, yeah.
Thank God, that's what we needed.
Tony, is this one of the good ones or one of the bad ones? Give me your prediction now.
A bad one.
It's mostly positive with 144 reviews, so we'll give that
Yeah,
one
but
a
is it
thumbs
just
up.
the same game? But is it just the same game but with different styling?
Uh,
Like, is there is there extra mechanics that make sense?
I think there's like zombie mechanics, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't have high opinions of British construction to begin with. So
it's 2023 and there's no graphics settings. Literally, the only setting is film grain. Wow, just wow. Yay for the refund policy. This is Destiny I'm talking about. I wanted to run through the seasons. So the big thing about this game was it was like, what if we took key plot points from the show and let you
alternative, yes,
go to an alternative universe and change key plot points about the show
and see what happens. Yeah.
I wanted to run to the seasons as Shane got to the prison arc and it just ended teasing Sanctuary. What the fuck? I'm not going to refund it in hopes Des listen to the community and improve it. Where the hell is Andrea? She's just non-existent. Also, doesn't have a set group of people for the missions you play. Changes that so we can choose who we want to play as to do both the main missions and the expedition. Release the rest you charge $50 for. A game that goes to season 3 and can take 7 hours to complete with bad graphics controls, aim, assist, just real bad settings in general. I want to face off against Negan and his group, the Whispers, etc. 4 out of 10, it really isn't worth it.
I didn't realize it was like a full $50. I know $50 it's not full anymore, but still.
Tony, it's £40 off sale, but on sale right now, 20% off, it is £31.99.
Still too much.
All right, well, that's the end of the releases. We on to quick news. Yorkshire Tea is selling a £150 PS5 and Xbox Series X and S controller. And the controllers will come with a certificate of authentication. So, in 100 years from now, you want to sell, you go on Antiques Roadshow and you pull out the official Yorkshire Tea controller.
I can't wait for Antique Roadshow in 100 years. That's going to be so good.
And they go, you put in a real rare find, the Yorkshire Tea Xbox controller. Oh my lord, that's worth £100 million. Who the fuck is buying this?
It looks great though. Look at that. That's beautiful.
I mean, you could get it looks like a they've taken like a 40-50 pound controller and they've put in a D-brand skin on it.
It looks like they've just like copied like the box image and just put it on a skin. And that's all they've done.
I'm a huge fan of Yorkshire tea, but
yeah,
I gotta say, I'm not impressed with this. I don't think it looked particularly great.
It looks like the box. That's about it. They could have done more.
It's unclear how many of these controllers have been produced. However, Yorkshire Tea claims the items are limited edition. So get them while you can, guys. They're going to be gone. Everyone's going to be buying the Yorkshire Tea controller.
Can't wait.
Additional content for F-Zero 99 is now available for Nintendo Switch Online members. The new Classic Mode, a 20-pilot race with rules inspired by the original F-Zero. So if you don't want to play the Battle Royale mode, there is now a Classic F-Zero mode. And I was going to test this out, and I launched it up, and I was like, I'm going to test this out. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to try out the emulation on the Switch, and I completely forgot about it. So I still need to try this out, but I'll probably test this out at some point. Then next up we have Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition, is coming to Netflix. So you remember I was talking about how you can get games on Netflix and nobody knows this? You're going to be able to play the entire Grand Theft Auto trilogy on your phone through Netflix, which is kind of like ironic considering the definitive edition that came to the PC was essentially just the mobile versions. Yeah. And now they're reporting them back to the mobile.
Oh, thank God.
So the iOS and Android port of the definitive edition was originally slated to release in the first half of 2022, but kept getting delayed over and over again until it was eventually listed as to be announced in Take-Two's most recent financial report. So yeah. I mean, if they release this, I'm definitely going to test this out on my phone. I'm so curious what this is going to be like.
Yeah, but I just it's not the. I don't know. It's not the best way to play it. It's not very definitive.
It's coming out December 14th, so in like a week and a half, I'll be definitively gaming on GTA on my phone. So
you definitely be gaming. I'm not sure about the first part.
Next up, we have mods. New add-on available for Doom and Doom 2. We have the Troopers Playground, which is a old school Doom mod. I think it was on the Doom Wad 100 Best Doom Wads. It is a well-regarded Doom Wad, and it is officially available through the add-ons on the. I don't know if you know about. Bethesda's gone back and remastered the old Doom games to basically allow you to officially download mods through the game itself without having to install third-party mods.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
But yeah, this is cool because this mod actually replaced textures and added a whole new boss a year after the original release of Doom 2. So it was a pretty big and cool mod, so it's cool to see that people are able to go back and play this. Next up, we have Steam news. I put this so in the Half-Life 1 documentary, we had some great quotes from Gabe Newell. We had "Late is just for a little while, suck is forever." If you haven't seen the no-clip documentary on the original Half-Life, it's great. It's about an hour long.
Yeah,
and
it's on the Valve YouTube channel.
Yeah. And it is basically a no-clip quality documentary about Half-Life 1 with returning all of the Half-Life 1 original devs.
I haven't watched many no-clip documentaries, but I feel like this was like one of the better. I know they're all good. Like I feel like this was like above some of the other ones. Oh, I only watched a couple of other ones. This is the best one I saw.
It depends. I mean, I think most no-clip documentaries are very good. I watch them quite a lot. I mean, I'm a big fan of one of the podcasts.
You watched them all, right?
I've watched most of them, yeah. Like, I've watched his most recent ones. Like, one I think you might like is they just did a documentary on the Burger King games, the weird tie-in Burger King games. Oh, so they went and they found the original developers of those games and like, why did you develop this? Like,
Yeah,
You
I
know,
was interested in that.
what was the deal with Burger King? How did you get all this stuff? Like,
Yeah.
I watched one on NFL. It was like the hockey game that was quite good. Um, but I'm a big fan of the No Clip podcast, and
Mm,
NFL '94 was their most recent one. I'm a big fan of the No Clip
okay.
podcast. It's a great podcast about games, and basically Danny O'Dwyer was like, I've started this company called Secret Tape, and the idea is we can be like a documentary crew for hire. We can basically go, hey, we make these great documentaries, and we'll make one for you. Oh, they did one of Vampire Survivors recently as well, about 4 months ago. That one's great as well because the developer is an Italian dude who didn't want to be on camera. So they were like, well, how do we make a documentary about it? So Danny got a puppet of the vampire dude made from the cover of Vampire Survivors. And as he's telling the story of his life, he's animating this puppet doing various things.
Oh, that's cool.
It's great, yeah. But yeah, basically, I was watching the podcast and he said, yeah, I've started this secret tape thing. We've been working on a secret project, but I can't tell you about it. But when it comes out, it's going to be the biggest thing on the internet. Just look at the top of the game Reddit. And I was like, okay. And it was the Half-Life 1 documentary. But Gabe Newell has some great quote stuff in there. I'll paraphrase some stuff he said because I don't remember. But basically, he was saying like, when they went into the game, one of the first things they did was just run around hitting everything with a crowbar, which is literally what every single person does when they launch Half-Life 1. He also said he had a great quote about realism where he was saying like every time we added something, people were saying, yeah, it's fun, but it's not realistic. And he was saying like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like what I do in my like, I have to make grocery lists and go and buy groceries. That's realistic, but
You
it's
don't
not
want.
fun.
You
I don't
don't
want it
want
in a
to. No,
game, you
you don't
know?
have to. You don't want to have to do that in a game.
And he was talking about another thing he was talking about was every time you move through the game, you want the game to be able to react to you. You want to push buttons. You want stuff to happen. You want characters to, explode. You want to make it every time you move through the game, the world reacts to you. It's like otherwise you get. I think he called it narcissistic bruising. Like your ego gets a narcissistic bruise when an action you take doesn't have an impact on the world.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it makes the world feel stale once you find something that doesn't interact with what you're doing.
But yeah, we have Game Newell to make in-person deposition for Valve versus Bullfire Games lawsuit. Tony, you were excited about this one.
Yeah, this is a not from the game viewers' point of view, but like for the actual lawsuit, definitely a blunder, right?
Well,
It's
Bullfire
like
Games are
antitrust.
best known for developing was it a Kickstarter? Overgrowth? Was it on Kickstarter? It was some sort of crowdfunding, right? Or
was it Overgrowth?
Overgrowth, the rabbit fighting game thing.
Yeah, so it was Overgrowth then. Okay, interesting.
But basically,
But I don't
go
have
on.
a problem if you're annoyed with a 30% cut, but I don't see the logic of jumping it to be an antitrust because
Yeah.
okay. If they had a soup, like say they did an Epic, right? It was like, oh, it's 5% for everyone. Then they became a monopoly, and then they jacked it up to 30%. That would be like a smoking gun for antitrust. That's
Yeah.
not what Valve has done. It's always been 30%.
Yeah, I think this lawsuit's kind of bullshit, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
I think they're going to be wasting a ton of money. I don't know why. Like what?
It'd be interesting
I
to see an
personally think I think
artistic.
30% is a lot, but Valve the Steam platform adds a lot for your game. As long minus the exposure problem, I think it has a lot of features that get customers like. I like using Steam. Like I want to buy games on Steam rather than Epic. Like it's not because it's a monopoly. It's because of the feature set they have.
So the claim was initially dismissed in November 2021 with a U.S. district judge arguing that the complaint did not articulate sufficient facts to plausibly allege an antitrust injury based on that market. The documents concluded that Wolffire Games could file another complaint addressing the highlighted issues, which it did in May 2022.
I assume they got told to like make it make sense, and then you can file it again. I guess is what they said, and I guess that's what they did. So I guess it's competent enough to go to court now. So I give them that, but I still don't understand the logic.
Yeah.
But not a lawyer, so I don't know like, how legit what's intended here. I don't I
It's
like
legal
surely
stuff,
Valve would have
right?
already settled if they were going to settle, right? So like I feel like they're just going to go no.
Yeah.
We're going to set an
Valve
example.
doesn't want to settle, right? Like
No, I
they've been
think they
fine
want an
with scuff
example.
gaming on the back buttons on the Steam controller, and
Yeah.
they've been what was the other one? They did Rumble emulation on the Steam Deck, which says they don't want to fight for the vibration
Yeah.
patent, which I think is it Nintendo that has that?
It might be because they have their own book packs, right? Yeah, in my opinion, if you're in a position to fight these things and you think you're going to win, I would want you to fight
Immersion.
it.
Immersion is the people who have
Immersion. Okay.
has the use of the vibration feature. They sued
I just feel
Sony and
like
Microsoft
a
in
lot of
2002.
a lot of these patterns are just like far too broad and like far too simplistic to actually like be. I think if you're big enough like Valve, I think you should fight it if you can. Like I think a lot of it is absolute bullshit.
Hmm. But yeah. Next up, we have. Oh, also with that Half-Life 1 25 anniversary update, we got Counter-Strike Condition Zero update. So they brought all the Half-Life 1 improvements to Counter-Strike Condition Zero, which I was playing literally like a month or two ago, and it is really good.
Yeah.
If you don't know, Counter-Strike Condition Zero Deleted Scenes is a full single-player campaign for Counter-Strike, and it's pretty good. So I'd recommend playing it because it has now been updated to they fixed the lighting rendering issues on AMD GPUs. There's lots of networking fixes, new UI loadouts, so should be a lot easier to run now if you're having any of those issues. But Tony, they also released an update for Counter-Strike 1.6 where they accidentally released the early prototype version of Left 4 Dead as a playable thing. So you can now.
Okay.
There's now like an alpha version of Left 4 Dead that is essentially like Counter-Strike bots running around trying to knife you as the zombies.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. It's called like Terror Strike or something. Basically, they were working on lots of different stuff because like Condition Zero is like a weird game where Source came out like 6 months to a year after Condition Zero came out. But Turtle Rock were basically working on Counter-Strike mods, and Chet Falasek, I believe, saw this Terror Strike alpha and was like, oh, there's something here. We need to turn this into like a full game, basically. But yeah.
It's interesting.
Then new Steam...
Left
go on.
I was saying Left 4 Dead story is like so interesting.
Steam features. Well, we had what was it? They had Turtle Rock working on Left 4 Dead, and they had Arcane developing the Half-Life 2 expansion, the Father Gregory expansion set in Ravenholm, and it was during the what was it like the financial credit? Was it the credit crunch crisis somewhere around there? And basically,
2008, was it?
the value of the was it the dollar went crazy low, or basically it was way easier to
compared to everyone else, it went low. Yeah,
but they were paying a European company and they were paying an American company, and they decided to cut off the European company, which was Arcane Leon at the time, and they decided to go and make Left 4 Dead. Because they had two zombie games, because Ravenholm game was also like a zombie game.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up, Steam controller support compatibility search is here now, Tony. So you can search Steam based on whether it will support your controller. So if you have an Xbox
Oh, huge.
controller, a
Can,
DualShock controller, or a DualSense controller, it
can we
will
bring this
now.
back for VR?
Wouldn't that be great, Tony, if they actually did that? Well, I don't know
Because
why it was removed. It makes no sense.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know why it's removed either. It was so useful.
But
Anyway, this is
basically,
good as well, though.
yeah, for me now, whenever I click on a Steam page, it'll go, oh, this supports your Xbox controller, this supports your PlayStation controller. Like, it'll let me know if it supports my
How much fiddling
DualSense.
will you have to do?
And then you also have these options, controller required, Steam input API. The developers recommends playing with a controller, and then also DualSense controller USB only. DualShock controllers USB only, so you can see if you need a USB or not, or you can use it wirelessly. But yeah, really cool that you can now search Steam by controllers. Hopefully, there's more stuff to come.
I am
Tony,
I am really pleased with Valve's like push for like more controller support. So
shall we? Not only did we have the Steam Autumn Sale, we also got the Steam Award nominations. Do you want to go through our Steam Award nominations from bottom to top?
I'll put a timestamp for this, I think.
Okay. Steam Awards. Do you want me to read mine out? I'll go first. And
I closed my image. I need to bring it back. Give me a sec.
I can read it to you afterwards if you want. Or do you want to read your own out?
Yeah, I'll do my own. I just want my image up. I closed it for some reason.
Okay, so the first award was the Sit Back and Relax Award. And the game I went with that I played on Steam in 2023 was Loddlenaut. If you want to know more about Loddlenaut, I played it during the Steam Next Fest, and it's basically a really relaxing game about recycling trash underwater in like a third-person perspective.
Oh, is that one? Yes.
It's a really relaxing game. It's essentially like an underwater recycling power wash simulator, I would say.
Yeah.
So what game did you go with for this award?
I put something different initially, but then I remembered this actually came out of early access. Oh, I can't. It might have been early access. It came out. Terra Nil.
Terra Nil. Yeah.
I need to put this out there. I love Terra Nil. It's a short game from what I read
from Free Lives, the developers of Genital Jousting.
Yeah. Love Terra Nil. Highly recommend. I think the demo's still up. I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, pretty cool. So the annoying thing is, this year I've been playing a lot of games off Steam. So I've been playing a lot of emulation. I've been playing a lot of Switch games, and I've been playing a lot of Blizzard games. And Blizzard games are only recently coming to Steam. So it's tough, but I managed to get one in, Tony. Outstanding Story-Rich Game Award. I give it to D4. Diablo 4 I gave it to. So
that makes sense. I'm down with that.
So you may be looking at this and disagreeing with me, but I don't like the end game of D4, but I think it has a really solid campaign, and I think the story is pretty decent. It's not great.
I asked you, and you said like, if you want to play the story, like you'd still recommend it. Like, and I asked specifically, like, should I ever get it at some point?
Honestly, out of the games I've played this year with stories on Steam, so you have to understand, like, I haven't played Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is not on Steam even, is it? It's an Epic exclusive. No, I keep forgetting that.
At the moment, yeah.
I haven't played Resident Evil 4, or I haven't played Baldur's Gate or anything like that.
Yeah, so I guess we should because if we mention what mine is, I think it's worth mentioning that we have very different philosophies when it comes to putting games onto it.
So for me, I've only nominated games that I have played the demo of, or I've played the full release of.
Yeah,
and for the soundtrack award, I sat down and I listened to the entire soundtrack of the game, but I did not play it.
Yeah,
but I listened to the soundtrack.
If I were to do that, I would only be able to put 2 games on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and Terra Nil was one of them, and I only played the demo as well. I don't own the full game, so
yeah.
So I don't. That's the reason why I don't have that philosophy. I feel like if I played more games.
What did you put for the story rich?
I put the obvious answer down. I put
Baldur's Gate 3.
I have actually watched a lot of it. I know that's not the same as playing it. I think it's from very different, like, because there's a lot of different experiences you can go down.
Yeah.
But I think out of all of these, it's still I could see it being a game of the year sort of thing, but I decided to go for
I
something
mean,
different for weirder
Baldur's
reasons. But
Gate. Baldur's
whatever.
Gate feels like a game that's going to sweep the awards this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people
I
love it
mean,
for good reason.
yeah. Again, Baldur's Gate is a game for me that I really admire for the stuff it does. I mean,
But you don't think
I
you'd be
would
able to sit down and play that? What
potentially. I don't know. I mean,
question?
yeah.
Would you play it co-op?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. The thing for me is
Okay.
I would only want to control one character.
Yeah, but it is okay. But are you okay with the turn basedness though? Because like you kind of just like
Yeah, I don't know
you
because
not in single player you move the whole party and then it's really
I
just the
had
combat that's like
I had a friend who was playing the game and he was like,
yeah
"I'm loving this game. You should play it." And I went, "I'm not sure." I was currently playing Sekiro at
hmm,
the time, and he was like, "I'll buy the game for you, and you can try it out." And I said to him, "Look, I don't want you to waste your money because there's a chance that I
yeah
would play it and I wouldn't, like it.
yeah. And
Like,
it's 50 quid, right?
yeah, it was very expensive. So,
Yeah,
um, I think ultimately it's a game I would be interested to try out, but I wouldn't spend or get somebody to spend a lot of money getting the
yeah.
game.
It is a shame that I know this is difficult. A way they probably coded the game, but it's a shame that like the tutorial area isn't like a demo.
Mm.
That'd be very nice if they could just. I know a lot of people have played it, and like people just play it based on recommendations, but I still think there's a place for demos.
But yeah, let's go on to the
Oh, okay, I've
next
got a
award.
controversial pick for this one. Okay.
Best Soundtrack Award,
Yeah.
Vomra Cyberpunk. I'm a huge fan of the Jet Set Radio soundtrack. I'm a huge fan of the Lethal League soundtrack, the Lethal League Blaze soundtrack.
I love that soundtrack. Yep.
Let me look up his name because I'm going to awfully mispronounce it otherwise. It is. How do I pronounce it? It's a Japanese name.
Are you gonna awfully pronounce it even with the name up?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Um, the Jet Set Radio soundtrack I know is so good because I get recommended the songs despite never looking up
Well,
like playing the game or looking up the songs.
organically.
Yeah, like I organically got
Yeah.
recommended the Jet Set
Yeah.
Radio songs like humming the bass line and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Hideki
that was really good.
Naganuma is the name. So he did Jet Set
Okay.
Radio, he did Lethal League, Blaze. He also did Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which is the same guys who did Lethal League, which is a great like dodgeball tennis game. But this
Yeah.
time it is like a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, great.
So-
Another great soundtrack.
So I really like is it just called Lethal Blaze or is it called Lethal League Blaze? Like what's it actually?
Lethal League Blaze is the follow-up game to Lethal League. Lethal
Follow up,
League
yeah. So
is
I really like
Lethal League's more 2D, and then Lethal League Blaze is a lot
Yeah.
more 3D.
yeah, okay, so it's a 3D one I'm thinking of. The music in that one I really like. I'm
Ain't
not
nothing
big-
but a funky
I don't know.
beat is like the
Yeah, I
trailer
really
song.
the main soundtrack.
It's a
is
great
really
like
good.
mix of like jazz and
I love how
Japanese funk
upbeat
music.
it is because
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of jazz, but I really like how upbeat Lethal League Blaze is. However, I did not get along so much with this newer one. I didn't. I could not think of it. So I think I went through like 'cause I think you posted it. I was like, you posted like a link to it. And I was like listening to like because I was trying to figure out what game had a good soundtrack.
Right.
I was like, I'm not feeling it. I didn't go for soundtrack. I just because okay. In my defense, this character doesn't actually exist on Steam, so I went, okay, I can't find a soundtrack I like. I'll go for good like audio design, and I think Dead Space has a fucking great audio design. And I think the original Dead Space had a good audio design. I think the remastered version has an even better audio design. It's really, really good. Technically,
Yeah.
there are songs in that audio design, but it's not really what you consider. Like, it's not something you listen to unless it's Halloween.
I think the award specifically was looking for an OST, but
Yes.
if you have to go outside of that and find something that had a good atmospheric music or whatever, that I think that's fine.
Yeah, I'm reinterpreting this one to just be sound in general. So that's the controversy there.
Like, I don't think there's a. I don't think there is a what's the word? Dead Space is probably not going to win this award, but
no,
for your own personal choice, I think it's fine. Like,
I actually wish some of these sections were more
over
vague.
the years is I used to get very upset by the Steam Awards because I took it very seriously, and then when it just turned out it was a stupid popularity contest, I would get upset by the results. This time,
win all of these.
I'm just going to vote whatever I want, and then whatever comes out in the end, it doesn't matter, honestly.
I think what's important about us doing it ourselves is, like, we have, like, I think it is important to justify it. I think there's, like, you get a lot out of it once you start justifying your rationale. Like, it's still subjective, but, like, because you're actually giving reasons, you can actually, like, explain yourself. So I think that is much better than just popularity.
Because we have to nominate games that come out this year, and they have to be on Steam.
Yeah. Which I include games that it might not come out that year, but it released on Steam, because, like, otherwise it would never be. I would never be able to select it.
But because I was complaining last year, I was saying, like, all of the ones that were nominated last year when the nomination phase went through that we voted on, they were all soundtracks to games that were remakes, and I'm playing games that come out this year, and I'm noticing, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are remakes of games that have previously come out. Like, and there is a lot of stuff where I'm going to be like, this is the best game of 2023, but it's actually a remake of a game that came out in 1997 or 2002 or something like that. You know.
I will say though,
I think we just have to be a bit more lax, I guess, with the
I would say
the base game.
I think it depends on the remake. I think it depends on the remake as well, because I think I remember talking about last year. It's like Final Fantasy was, like, winning one of like the and it was the soundtrack was the same. And it's like, well, that's not changed enough. It didn't add any new tracks.
It's like what was I gonna say? So there was some weird stuff because one of the awards was the best VR game. And I wanted to nominate Half-Life 2 VR mod. You're not allowed to nominate mods.
I wish we had best mod and best DLC as a category on this.
Yeah, that would have been great if we could do mods or DLCs. And also, one of my favorite games of this year was Quake 2 Remastered. And I'm not allowed to nominate that because it came out in 1997. Despite the fact some of the games that I can nominate also came out like 15, 20 years ago, but because they've released on they released on Steam instead of being an update, they count.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There should be exceptions gone through for some of these.
Next up, we have the best game you suck at, and I went for Gorilla Tag because I love Gorilla Tag, and I'm always getting out of breath trying to chase down all of the kids who are running circles around me on Gorilla Tag.
You need to do it more Arm Day.
Technically, this game did not come out this year, but it officially released out of early access this year, so it counted.
That counts, yeah.
I'm not sure my definition of Game 2023 would align with the Steam Awards, but again, I'm going to take it less seriously. Let's just go with Gorilla
But you would never be able to. I guess if it was your rules, you'd be able to vote for it like the year before, right? But because I just feel like it's their rules, it's like this is the only time you would be able to vote for it. So
you could vote for Gorilla Tag last year, and you could vote for it this year. Is how it works.
Oh, because it was an early. Interesting. Yeah. Maybe
I think the fact that you can vote for. I think the fact that you can vote for games twice because they technically released twice is kind of bullshit. Doesn't that just give them a huge advantage?
Yeah, shouldn't we just say you're not allowed to vote for games in early access? Like, I feel like that would be the play. Because then you could have like best ongoing updating thing or something if you wanted to have them be able to be viable or something. Yeah, a bit weird. Oh, okay.
What
I
did
don't
you
know
go
what I
for?
wanted to pick for this because again, I've not played these games, but I have no idea. Like, I don't have a game that I played that came out this year on Steam that I sucked at. I don't play competitive
You
games,
didn't like this
so
category. You were saying that
I couldn't find anything.
you couldn't
So I
find
just put something in.
you didn't like the category of games that you enjoyed, but you were really bad at.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand it.
I think it's
I guess to be fair, you know what? So when we talked
yeah.
about this earlier, I guess it'd be if I played fighting games, that would be like an option. Like if I played like Street Fighter 6, I could
I
put this
think
in this category or
Well, I
something.
think what I realized was you like games and you go very deep into one or two games and you focus on
Yeah,
them, whereas I like to
yeah.
try everything. And when you have this much wider variety, I can find a game
You,
that I'm not very good at, but I could still enjoy,
yeah,
you know?
right.
But what's your nomination? What did you pick?
Uh, I just played the RoboCop game because like I'm not gonna put this anywhere else. I think it deserves some sort of nomination.
Yeah, so the RoboCop game is
I'm not a
great.
shooter, so I would probably suck at it.
The RoboCop game is great, and I wish I could have nominated it for one of these, but I'm really
Yeah.
good at RoboCop, so I couldn't nominate it for this award.
But I'm actually terrible at shooting games.
Okay.
Like I'm not very good at aiming. I don't play a lot of shooting games. I think you would be very annoyed at me like playing on the Master Chief Collection. Like I have to play on normal. I can't play. Well, I probably could play higher, but like it'd be a lot harder for me.
Halo's a
So
game that I played with a controller back in the day, so I mean
yeah. Well, I used
that
to play first person shooter with a controller, but I
mm,
played first person shooters like recently with a controller. I just awful at that as well.
yeah.
It's just not a genre I play much of. So I was like, you know what? I probably would suck at Robocop because I do
Robo
not play shooters anymore.
RoboCop was a huge surprise for me this year. I
It
literally was like
absolutely.
I've never seen a RoboCop film. I know of it from pop culture, but I was
You watch it
like,
now, though, right?
no, I haven't watched it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, I still haven't seen RoboCop. But I
Okay.
basically was like, you know what? It's part of Steam Next Fest. Let's give it a go. And I was like, holy shit, this game is really good. Like
The atmosphere is
they just
fantastic.
don't make these like medium budget games anymore. It's
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
AAA games or indie games, and there's nothing in between.
This is a perfect, middle, medium
Mm.
game. Yeah. And it looks. I know people said it looked bad. I disagree. It looked fantastic.
Great.
Yeah, it has the perfect vibe, and I'm judging by you because you play shooters. You said you still enjoy
Yeah.
the gameplay, right?
I thought
And it's a slow
the shooting
shooter.
mechanics were great, yeah. I
Yeah,
love the
even though it's
fact that
slow.
you're a fucking tank in that game. You
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
feel like a tank.
Well,
It's great.
I consider that high praise because you normally like want like fast movement.
Yeah.
So I consider that very high
I mean, there's
praise
a
indeed.
sprint button if you want to move faster. The game lets you move
Okay.
faster. But it's not as
Okay.
cool if you just walk into a room full of criminals, slowly pick one up and chuck him out a high rise building window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
It's so cool.
Next up, we have most innovative gameplay award, and I went for Save Room the Merchant, a game that came out this year.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Great puzzle game. Taking that concept of inventory management and turning it into a puzzle game,
Make it its
and
own
then
game.
flipping
Yeah.
on its head again, adding like a min-maxing economy on top of that, making this really interesting mix of gamified elements with puzzles. I thought it was great.
Yeah, yeah. And great with mods.
Yeah. Haha. Thank you. But yeah, what did you go for with here?
I went forward. I think a lot of people might go for, but I'm not sure actually. It's Cocoon. It's a
Yeah. So this
puzzle
was
game.
from the developers of, was it Inside or
I think so. It's a
Limbo?
different studio. I think it's technically a different studio, but there's developers of Inside.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, the thing with this is you go to like a portal, you go inside the world, you do something in that world, and then you come like and it does something. You come out of it, and then you can then move that
I believe
cocoon
it's
around.
on. I believe it's on Games Pass, so that might be a good place to try
Yeah,
it out.
yeah.
I've been
But yeah, the whole thing
thinking.
is like it's like there's nesting worlds that you go in and change something, then you can use that to solve the puzzle in the outer world, sort of thing. So like it's
I've
really
been
cool.
I've been thinking about getting Game Pass for a while, but I I was thinking about getting Games Pass to play Starfield, but then they jacked up the price of Games Pass, so you couldn't get a cheap trial for it.
Yeah.
And then Starfield came out, and I'm like, this game kind of looks like it sucks. And then, and yeah, I hate that there's no like cross progression with Steam. Like if I played a game on Steam, I wouldn't be able to bring it over. Like there's a lot of games like they just released Remnant 2 on Games Pass, and that's a game I wanted to check out. But two of my friends have the Steam version, but there's no crossplay between the Games Pass and the Steam version. So I wouldn't actually be able to play with my friends.
Yeah,
and then the Games Pass version launched without DLSS either. I think they've just patched it in, but the Games Pass versions sometimes don't have basic features like DLSS. So yeah.
But sometimes it has the improved version.
But I just paid for a WoW sub for a couple of months because I was like, I'm gonna play hardcore. I feel like I spent like ages shit talking Blizzard at BlizzCon and be like, fuck this company. And then I'm like, but also I kind of want to play that classic WoW thing. There's two companies that have their hold on me, and it's Blizzard Entertainment and Valve Software. I just can't get away from them.
Yeah.
But hopefully
you're playing the older stuff.
Hopefully, I doubt they do this, but if they added the WoW sub to Games Pass, it would be a no-brainer for me.
What if it's like different tiers of the Game Passes are slightly like it's like cheaper to get it together than it is one individually? Would that actually that's not a no-brainer at that point, but would you consider it?
Consider it, yeah. Let's move on to the next award, which is Outstanding Visual Style Award. Even though it said visual style doesn't aspire to real-world graphic fidelity, though it's a noble goal itself, it describes the distinct look and feel that suffices an entire game. I kind of ignored this and went for Portal RTX because I think it looks amazing.
Yeah, no, I think that's valid. I think that's very valid.
Again, Tony,
I don't think that requires any explanation.
This is a mod, but it's an official mod, so it counts as a game.
You can select it, yeah.
But I couldn't think of a game that I had played this year on Steam that looked better than Portal RTX.
Interesting.
I think it looks amazing.
Yeah, it definitely looks amazing.
Let's go on to what's your nomination?
Okay. This one I'm a bit iffy about, but I'm not changing it. I went for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart.
Okay, so I almost went for this. I think
really okay. I didn't realize how much I liked the look of it until I watched you play it.
It looks, especially the Steam version, looks great because you got all of those DLSS ray tracing options. I think stylistically it looks amazing. Tony, one of the big reasons I didn't nominate Ratchet & Clank for this award was I couldn't nominate it for every single category. Was my biggest problem.
Oh no!
They allowed you to nominate games for several categories. I just didn't want my Steam list to be Ratchet & Clank, 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 Ratchet & Clank. I tried to pick different things. So,
everyone is mine are the same. But everyone is a different.
I would say my runner-up was probably Ratchet & Clank. If I hadn't nominated it for other stuff.
So my thing is, I know like this discussion like, technically it came out last year. Like, but it came out on Steam. So,
it didn't come out last year. It came out in 2021.
21. Sorry. Okay, you're right. Okay, 2 years ago. But it came out on PC this year. Like, okay, that's fine. I personally don't have a problem with choosing that. Because I've never got to vote for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like I like almost all the Ratchet & Clank games. Like I like the style of. Like I think it just kind of went. I
think it looks amazing. I think it's a better choice for an outstanding visual style compared to Portal RTX. I think Portal RTX looks great.
Yeah, but it's not a style. I still would argue there's a style with that.
I think Ratchet & Clank is a more stylized game than Portal RTX. Yeah.
But that doesn't make a realistic style not a style in and of itself, though.
Let's move on to the next one. Better with Friends Award. I went for Jackbox Party Pack 10. I think
That probably
The
makes more sense than my
uh,
choice.
yeah, we both played this on Discord one
Yes.
night. I think it's a great
Yep.
game. Um, was there any other game that I played on Steam this year that could have been a runner-up? I just played BattleBit, and I
Yep.
think that's pretty fun. Diablo
I
4 was
can't.
another runner-up. Yeah,
Before.
I played D4 with my friend Jesse and had fun playing that with him. So
I can't
D4
believe
could
you
have been a
died.
runner-up. Yeah, I convinced him to play hardcore, and he died at like level 20. And he was like, "Fuck this! I'm not playing hardcore anymore." So I was like,
His reaction
"Damn,
was so
where
good.
am I gonna get my Blizzard hardcore fix? I know, I'll play hardcore classic WoW." What did you put for this one?
Mine's a bit of a cop out. I'm not gonna
Okay.
lie. I basically just checked games that had co-op as a feature,
Yeah.
and I thought, you know what, this is another game that came out ages ago on PS5. It's come
Yeah.
out on Steam, and it has co-op, and I like, I like the game. I've I've actually played a tiny bit of it, but like not enough to like turn off like
What is
it's
it?
a great game. But I've watched people play it. It's Returnal. I
Tunnel
really
has
like.
co-op.
Yes, I know.
I thought it
I
was a
didn't realize
purely
this.
single-player game.
No,
Are you sure it's not like leaderboard co-op, or how does the
no, I
co-op in
didn't.
Returnal work?
No, I didn't. I've only ever seen people play it single player. Like I said, it's a cop out. I don't know where to put. I can't put like this. Doesn't fit with any other category. I really like Returnal. At least
Right.
what I've seen of it, I should say. I don't think me picking up the controller and moving counts. So, but yeah, it's not. I had something else. But
It
I'm
seems like
not.
it's
It's not
mostly
like.
the single player game, but you can res each other. So it seems
Mhm.
like it's the full game in sort of co-op.
Oh, it is a full game. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel less bad about this choice though. But it was still a cop out. It's still like, does this have co-op or not? So,
Do you move on to the next one,
Returnal.
or
I
you
like
got more?
Returnal.
I think Returnal looks great,
No, that's a
and
good one.
again, it's one of the games I really want to play from PlayStation, but I've still
Yes.
my backlog is immense.
Well, now I know it has co-op. I don't know. I might try and find someone to play it with.
Best
If
game on
our
Steam
timelines.
Deck. I'm probably a little bit more qualified for this award than you.
Yes,
Uh,
you
I
most
went
certainly are.
I went for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I genuinely played
Oh,
quite a bit of
interesting.
Ratchet and Clank on my Steam Deck, and it's a really good Steam Deck title.
Okay. Okay.
If it were up to me and I could nominate things that weren't on Steam, Super Mario Galaxy would be here. But unfortunately, I cannot nominate Super Mario Galaxy. If I was able to nominate a game that came out on any year, I also played
Yeah.
a ton of fucking Cat Quest this year on my Steam Deck. Or Octodad Dadliest Catch would also be
Oh
another great
yeah, that
nomination
really
for my
was, isn't
Steam
it? Yeah.
Deck.
That's great. That should be like party game. That should be a
Yeah.
choice, like a nomination as well.
But yeah, Ratchet and Clank looks fucking phenomenal on Steam Deck while running like a treat. You can get it to 40 FPS, or you can run it at like a smooth, very high fidelity 30. I can't believe they got it running this good on the Steam Deck. It looks
No, that's
amazing.
crazy.
And it's
I would
really
have.
fun on
I would
Steam
have.
Deck. I've played it with
I
mouse and
would have.
keyboard, I've played it with a controller, and I've played it on the deck, and it works great.
I would have. I could have seen it been like, oh, it runs at 30, but you turn it all to like super low or something. But it's like the fact that it was running and still looking really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing to me.
I will say, for the
Um.
settings I had it on, the fans were going, "Phew."
Okay. Full takeoff mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
I don't
what
have
did
Steam
you?
Deck, so I had to go by watching people look. I do this at like every now and again. Actually, like
Right.
once a month, I like look at like see what people are doing on the Steam Deck,
I'm
what they're
really
playing.
excited. You remember?
Um,
Oh, sorry. That's
no, you
finishing.
can go.
Sorry, I just wanted to say I'm really excited. You remember the Steam replay from last year, and they had an entire section
Yes.
to games you've played on Steam Deck. I'm
Yeah.
really curious what mine's going to look like.
Emu Deck.
Emu Deck,
Does it
100
see that?
hours. No,
Does it see that, or does that still not count?
it doesn't count hours for non-Steam games. So.
Okay, interesting.
But sorry, go on. What were you saying?
Yeah, so I had to go by looking at people play games
Yeah.
on the Steam Deck, and I thought, oh, okay, the game looks good, and it runs on Steam Deck. I don't know how well it runs, but I think if it ran well, it'd be great to play on the Steam Deck. Considering the first game, what played really well on the Steam Deck, according to people I saw. So
What
I
was
put
it?
Blasphemous 2 on.
Okay, so this year I've been playing Blasphemous 1 on my Steam Deck and it runs great.
Yeah, I have no
S-
idea if Blasphemous 2 runs as well, but it does run. I know that much.
I mean, it's going to be a very light game. It is a pixel
Oh,
art game, and it runs
yeah,
natively at 640p or something like that. Like it is a very
yeah.
light game. Like flawless
It's
60
designed to be
FPS.
pixelated.
You could probably
Yeah,
run Blasphemous at 90 FPS on the Steam Deck OLED, or even
yeah,
higher
for
on like an
sure.
ROG Ally or whatever.
I believe the person I was
Oh,
looking at
I've
was
heard
running
actually
at
people
90
have
actually.
been overclocking their Steam Deck OLEDs and they've got it as high as like 130
What?
hertz refresh rates.
Oh
Yeah,
my god. Okay.
which I would not recommend
Interesting.
overclocking your panel on your Steam Deck, but it's
No, I don't
possible.
recommend overclocking any panel, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean technically
But yeah,
the
that's really
165
good.
hertz mode I run my main monitor in is the overclocked mode, and I run
Yeah,
it
but
all the time.
that's what they've put overclocking it is RAID. Like they've tested that. Like it's not the same as overclocking it beyond
So
what
yeah,
they've got settings for.
I thought about Blasphemous 2 just because I played so much Blasphemous 1 on my Steam Deck.
Yeah,
Um,
but I
ultimately,
will
I
say the Blasphemous 2 looks better than Blasphemous 1. I think there's some changes that I think make look
oh,
really cool.
my runner-up as well actually was Diablo 4. I actually played quite a
Mm.
bit of Diablo 4 on my Steam Deck. When Diablo 4 released, I got really sick and I wanted to play D4, so I actually put it on my Steam Deck and I played it hooked up to my TV in bed. And
Ah, okay. And
um,
that worked.
yeah, Diablo 4 runs really well on the Steam Deck, and also looks great as well. It's Diablo 4 has really good controller controls. It's so cool to
Mm.
see.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, let's move on to the next award, which is Labor of Love Award, and I gave this to Slay the Spire because that is one of my favorite
That's
games of all
fair.
time, and they keep
Yeah.
updating this game, and it is great.
Hmm.
I own it on my computer, I own it on my Steam Deck, I own it on my phone, I play it everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
That makes sense. I think you nominated this before, but they've never won it, right?
I don't know if I've nominated Slay the Spire before. I know once you win the Labor of Love Award, you're no longer allowed to win
Yeah.
it. Because my
Yeah.
friend Jesse was trying to vote Cyberpunk this year, to which I had to say, you can't nominate Cyberpunk because it won last year. So I
don't know
think
how
Terraria, Cyberpunk has won. There's a couple of Deep Rock Galactic almost won last year, but didn't actually make it. So you can still vote DRG, which I think
okay.
if the nomination phase comes through and
Mm.
DRG's back up there, I'll probably lean more towards Deep Rock Galactic because
Yeah.
I don't
You
know
know
how
what?
many people are going to be voting for Slay the Spire, but we'll wait and see. What did you go with, Tony? I know what
So
you
I
went
have an
with.
interest.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
because
do. I
I
have an interesting pick. I do want to
I
explain myself.
because initially you told me this, and my first reaction was,
Mhm.
"Really?" But
Well, you pointed out that the devs didn't support their other games, right? Like that was like
well,
your concern.
my main thoughts were Stun Up Studios abandoned Battle Right, which was one of my favorite games, but
Yeah,
they abandoned it, and this game has only received
I
a
think
few updates.
fair. I think
Yeah,
I would argue that
but
so I
it's
chose V
your
Rising.
nomination, so tell me
Mhm.
why you nominated V Rising.
I chose V Rising, and thinking of this through as well, like I feel like it's in a different position than it because the other games they've done are like purely competitive, right? Like it
Yeah,
requires the service to
yeah.
be up.
From what I
This
played
is
of V
sing-
Rising, the combat is a great element to it.
yeah,
It's
so
pretty
this
to
is
that
single
shining through.
player, and you can host it yourself. Like you don't
Yeah,
need them to maintain it. So whatever they put out is like it's like permanent, effectively. So like
yeah.
if they never update it again, like it was a good update. Like to me, it's like well they can't depreciate it because well I guess they could technically like put an update out that fucks it over, but most people don't do that.
Mm.
But yeah, a big update actually came out this year, and this is okay. This is a weird one because like Labor of Love has other games that I can choose games I've not played before. But like Labor of Love kind of has to be a game I've played and like the update, so it's like kind of
Yeah.
tricky. I was like, you know what? I did enjoy. Like I have played V Rising this year, and I have enjoyed. And I went and I
Mm.
actually like after nominating, I actually then played it like some more. For some reason, that like I don't think my old saves are compatible or something. I think there's like a newer update after the big overhaul, so I can't use my old saves, which is a bit annoying.
Just
But I
start
started
again.
again. I was like, oh, this is yeah. They've changed a lot of the stuff, like they've rebalanced some of the bosses that you can go in order in, and like you don't need to place certain or some of the buildings. Like so, like there's like building progression, right? Like some like the
Mm.
this building's not the right word, but like some of like the mechanisms. Like they've changed the ordering of that and changing like some of the costs of that. And you don't need a blood altar to like track bosses anymore. You just like
Yeah.
do it inside of like your UI. So like, there's a rebalance at the start of the game, which actually feels this kind of slowed it down, but you feel like you're doing more stuff. Like I found before, it's like you quickly went through stuff, but there's a lot of busy work. So like I feel like it's very like the start of the game is very interesting. I don't know if it's because if I suck at the game, but I thought it was harder than it used to be. I think they might have buffed some of the enemies. Like
Yeah.
skeletons seem to do a lot more damage. So yeah, I just thought it was a really good update because like, they rejiggered like the entire progression and added new areas as well. So I thought that was deserving. I think V Rising is a very good game.
Mm. Yeah. It's just when I think of Labor of Love, I
But
tend to think of older games because it's from the
mm,
description they say
more.
this game to this day is still receiving new content after all these
Mm,
years. Like I think
that's
V
fair.
Rising to me is a newer game, which you know I think
Yeah,
stuff
but it's been
like
updated for a couple of years now.
Cyberpunk winning. I understand they really turned that game around, but for me, I'm like it's still kind of a newer game, so
They also
you can't see the tail of their development. You don't know
they
the
also are
full
fixing a
breadth.
game that
You
they
know?
released badly. I don't think that quite counts.
Yeah.
So I didn't really like Cyberpunk winning.
Yeah, I also didn't fully agree with it, but it's a popularity contest. And Tony,
Hmm
I don't think V Rising is going to win the Labour of Love award, but
No, absolutely not.
this is your nomination, so we'll move on to the
What?
next
It's
one.
one of the only games I played this year that had an update like I liked. So because like I can't choose City Skylines, and I can't choose
City Skylines
Solaris this
2,
year.
here we
So
go.
that's definitely got a
Labour of
Labor of Love
Love,
thing.
VR Game of the Year, a medieval VR, one of my favorite VR games from this year. I think it was amazing.
Mm.
Great to see the full medieval experience inside VR. Technically, I could have voted Gorilla Tag here because they released out of early
Oh yeah,
access the 1st of January. Gorilla Tag's one of my favorite VR games of all time, but in the spirit of games that came out this year, I decided to go for a
yeah.
medieval VR. I love this game and it's fantastic. Highly recommend
Yeah.
it.
Uh, my problem with this category again is I don't have a VR headset, so
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a
but I
VR
also
headset or a
chose
Steam Deck, you're going to be
no,
pretty out of luck on some of these nominations.
yeah, but I also chose the medieval VR.
Okay.
I forgot about this as a VR game. I remembered the medieval the normal game. I was like, you know what? I'll give it to medieval VR. I kind of like FPS magic as a thing, and
Well,
it
when it
looks great in
comes
VR.
to
So
VR games, a lot of them are PSVR or Oculus exclusives. So you don't
yeah,
have like a massive pool of things to choose from. I think one of the big VR games that came out this year that I haven't played but think potentially could have won this, Vertigo 2 was a big one. The
right.
new Bone Labs come out this
They
year.
come out this year, did it?
I believe Bone Labs came out. Was it? It was the end. No, would it be? No, it wouldn't be eligible. It would have been eligible for the last one. I Expect You to Die 3.
That
I
was another one that I was like looking at, but I was thinking about it. I was going to choose that actually because it suggested that to me.
right,
But then you mentioned the medieval. I was like, oh yeah, medieval VR. I
but
was like, you
then
know what?
there's
That's much more deserving in my eyes. For what I would like from a VR game, a medieval VR is what I would want to play.
we had some like PSVR exclusives. We had stuff like Horizon
Does
on the
the
PSVR
yeah,
too, and
that
Dark
looks
Pictures
really good.
Anthologies game on the the Switch back VR game. Resident Evil Village VR, the PSVR 2 exclusive.
Yeah.
Peaky Blinders, The King's Ransom, which I played the demo of, and I was like, I'm from fucking Birmingham, I'm smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. Out of all the ones you mentioned, I would still pick a Medieval. I feel like I appreciate Magic FPS as a VR. And then like was it the axe or is there a sword or something that worked better in VR?
The axe, yeah.
The axe, yes. I thought it was really cool. So I think I have.
And you can toss the axe as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Or
so for what I would want, I'm not a VR player, but for my idea of what I want from VR, that a Medieval is what I would want.
And the rocket launcher, which is a staff that fires planets.
Yes.
You can
the planet.
You can pull the planets off the staff and hold them and throw them like grenades. It's sick.
That's really cool.
I love New Blood, and this is a great like New Blood VR game, like boomer shooter.
Glad a Medieval. Yeah, because I like Magic, the idea of Magic FPS stuff. So yeah, that's great.
Then next up we have Game of the Year, the big one, Tony.
Yeah, finally.
And my Game of the Year that was released on Steam in the year 2023 was Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart.
Ooh, a second pick.
Yep. So that's why I was like, I've picked it for 2 categories. I can't pick it for every category. But
almost could have done.
Tony, I'm going to tell you now, when we do our podcast Game of the Year, where we could pick, not only our best game that came out in 2023.
Yeah. Best game we played.
Ratchet and Clank is going to have stiff competition from games that came out in 2023. It's also going to have stiff competition from the best game I played in 2023. Because let me tell you now, I played a lot of really fucking good games this year. But yeah, Ratchet and Clank
has been a good years for games to come out and games for us, or maybe you mainly, to play that are great games from old classics.
But yeah, Ratchet and Clank, I've been waiting for Ratchet and Clank to come out on Steam because I love the Ratchet and Clank games, but I do not want to buy a PS5. And
I want to see more.
There was 2 marquee games, so I knew I wanted to, because I've been trying to not buy any games this year or any future years. I'm trying to play my backlog, and then what's happening is I'm making my backlog bigger by going back and emulating on my old games. So now I have an even bigger backlog of games to play. But I'm going back and I'm going through my Steam backlog, my free games on Epic and Amazon, and I'm playing those. And I knew there was some marquee games that I wanted to spend the money on and play immediately when they came out. One of them was Diablo 4, because it was an online co-op multiplayer experience. I wanted to play it near launch, get that experience. And Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was a game I wanted to play on release to say, hey, Sony, Ratchet and Clank fans, we want Ratchet and Clank on PC. And that was the big reason why I wanted to vote with my wallet and be like, hey, I'm going to buy this at full price on release because I want to play it now and I want more Ratchet and Clank games on PC. And that's why it's my game of Steam Awards Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Because it's an amazing game. The combat is fantastic. Looks amazing. Great soundtrack. Funny humor. Everything about it's great. It is a fantastic game, and it is a really great Steam release of this PS5 amazing game.
I haven't. You may think it's an interesting choice, but I can justify it to some extent.
Is it City Skylines 2?
No, absolutely fucking not.
Okay. I thought there was a chance that it was City Skylines 2.
No, there was not. I liked the game, but it has the performance problems are too big for it to be a good game. It should be released next year. Maybe it's best game of 2024.
What is your nomination?
I put in Resident Evil 4 Remastered. I think its full name isn't Remastered, it's just Resident Evil 4, which is a bit weird.
Right. Yeah.
So I was not originally going to put this. By the time the Steam nomination,
you were going to put Baldur's Gate 3.
That wasn't runner up.
Okay.
But I wasn't going to even consider this as like a game I'd like nominate for any award because I don't like we remastered it. It's like the same game.
So
but,
I played.
It's just remastered a different engine.
I played Resident
And
Evil
the
3 this year, the remaster,
mm,
and I played
yeah.
Resident Evil 2 remaster the previous year. And what I can tell
Wh-
you is the Resident Evil remasters have been like very good so far,
Yeah,
mostly.
but the thing is though, when you played the demo for Resident Evil 4, it's almost exactly beat for beat for the original game. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, they haven't changed very much. That is not true. They have
Okay.
completely changed Ashley. They have completely changed many scenes. They've
Okay.
completely changed like the overall like plot is like the same, but like there's to me enough differences. Where, like they've clearly had like a lot of they like the franchise enough and like the game enough to like make changes that they're like, oh, this is we'll change this, we'll change that. And like, you know what? I'll give it to you. Like I excuse like before it's like I can't really justify giving it like I love Resident Evil 4. Like I played the
Yeah.
original on I think it's PS2 I played it on.
Okay. Yeah,
Maybe
it
it was
came out on
Xbox.
PS2.
Yeah, but I can't remember. I played around a friend's house first. I can't
Um,
remember which way
the
around it
first
went.
time I
I can't
played
remember what it
Resident Evil
was.
4 was on the Wii.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But
They
I
had a
love.
Wii
I
version.
genuinely think that even with the remaster, I think it's worth playing the original. But only because the remaster changes. It's kind of similar to me with the Dead Space remaster. The overall vibe and the overall story is the same. They've made enough changes where like it is a different game,
Okay.
and like they've changed story beats a little bit and changed character interactions, especially with Ashley, a hell of a lot. That I massively appreciate. Resident Evil 4 is Resident Evil 4, and it's still fantastic.
Hmm.
So
Well, it's
that's
interesting
why I'm choosing
because
it.
I just when I got my MetaQuest 3, I had a bunch of free credit and there was a sale on, and with my credit I decided to pick up Resident Evil 4 VR, the Oculus version, which is the VR
I think it's
version of
play.
the original Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Not only that, they've remastered Resident Evil 4 in the over the shoulder style of the second and the third game remasters, but we're also getting another Resident Evil 4 VR on the PSVR 2. So there's going to
Hmm.
be another Resident Evil VR game. So there's definitely lots of versions of Resident Evil 4 out there to play now. So
Well, I
which
guess
one is the best
I
one is going to be up to
I
your
don't know. I guess it's also worth mentioning
interpretation.
things with the Resident Evil 4 Master now also has like the Ada Wong sections as well.
Yeah,
So
apparently the
like
Ada Wong DLC is really good, from what
yeah,
I've heard.
that's changed a lot as well. Because before I think it was very short. The original like I can't remember how they did it in the original. So I had the platinum versions that had it. So
Because
yeah,
Ada Wong is a big part of Resident Evil 2. She has a really cool
yes,
campaign in the remaster. I haven't played the
yeah.
original, but from playing the remaster, it's great. Um,
I think it's
and
better in the remaster. I think it might be shorter in the original, something along the lines.
I would say she's not so much in Resident Evil 3. I'm trying to remember. I think Ada Wong was in Resident Evil
No,
3. Is she
wasn't
in
she
it?
mentioned but not in it or something?
Yeah, because it's sort of like parallel with the
Yeah,
events of the second game, right?
it Ada and Leon are like it's normally what happens. So
Um, but yeah. Um, what was I going to say? I don't remember what I was going to say. What were you saying?
I was just saying the Ada one was now in as a I think it's DLC, but it's a playable campaign with Ada Wong in Resident Evil 4 Remastered. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I was trying to think if there was a game I played this year. I can't remember what it was. I'll, I'll, I'll remember it when I'm not thinking on the podcast and able to talk about it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
yeah, Steam Awards. We're going to nominate a bunch of weird stuff, and then none of it will actually make it through. And then we'll be
No,
giving. What's the GTA 5 of this year?
Baldur's Gate 3.
No, what's Baldur's Gate 3 deserves awards. What's the game that gets
Yeah, I
nominated
know,
purely
but
because it's popular and not because it's actually a good game for that award?
no, but I believe the Baldur's Gate's reason to pop up in things that it doesn't deserve to be in. Like it doesn't deserve to
Um,
be in most innovative game, and it's gonna
Potentially
win.
like a FIFA or a Call of Duty could get nominated for some
No,
random shit it's not
FIFA
supposed to
Record
be
you are
in.
definitely not being nominated.
You say that now, but
I
wait and
do.
see.
I know. I'm making my prediction now. I think it. No.
Right, let's move on.
Nah, I will be annoyed if I think Baldur's Gate 3 deserves awards. If Baldur's Gate 3 gets most innovative gameplay, like I don't think it deserves that. I think it's very good. I don't think it is innovative in gameplay. It has innovative mechanics, I suppose, but not. I don't think it's good enough to be innovative gameplay.
Right, let's move on to Blunders. Our good friends over at Ubisoft were experimenting with in-game ads for some users. There was a user
Oh
playing,
yes.
I think it was Origins, the Assassin's Creed game Origins, or Odyssey, one of those ones.
He was playing. He's playing Odyssey, I believe.
But before, as he was going to the pause menu, before he can even get to the pause menu, he was shown a massive ad for a sale on Assassin's Creed Mirage, the newest Assassin's Creed game,
Yes.
which is kind of insane that anyone would try and do that. But apparently, our good friends over at Ubisoft have assured us this is a technical error and is nothing indicative of anything they are testing, where they're adding ads in between the pause menu. Surely they would not be trying to do that.
Have you seen that they've actually done this in the past? I didn't realize this. They had done it in Assassin's Creed Origins. They were advertising Odyssey and Origins like 3 years ago.
One of the big instances of this I remember was The Boys being advertised in between the UFC games through Amazon Prime. Yeah. People
There's
don't
recently
like...
as well. Like, didn't Xbox say I had on their home screen advertising a game or something?
So there's different. I think there's different types of ads in video games, right? There's invasive ads like this, or Amazon Prime, The Boys trailers. But I think, famously, I think it was Obama did a campaign through Burnout Paradise billboards. I think billboards are fine, or stuff that adds to the realism of the game, or adds to the game. But
I don't really subscribe to the idea that it's realist, adds realism. I'm okay with it. I just would if I had a choice, I wouldn't choose it. But I'm fine with it.
Well, it's been kind of a blunder season for Ubisoft. I don't know if you know this, Tony, but Ubisoft also leaked an early development build of Beyond Good and Evil's 20th Anniversary Edition, where they're making a 4K remaster of the original Beyond Good and Evil. This was actually accidentally released to some Ubisoft Plus subscribers by mistake, to which people played it and went, "This is very buggy and broken. What's going on?" This sort of forced Ubisoft's hand and said, "Oh, shit, we're remastering the original Beyond Good and Evil," which, if they can do it, is a fucking amazing game. I loved playing this game as a child. It's been 20 years since it came out.
It's worth remastering, for sure.
A 4K, easy to run version of Beyond Good and Evil would be amazing to see. But they say it's coming early 2024, and I don't know if you know this, Tony, but Beyond Good and Evil 2 may be the most delayed game of all time.
We even see it at the E3 and they just showed a cinematic, right? So, man, was that 5 years ago now? Maybe 6.
Let's have a look.
I swear it's 5 or 6 years to be saw it on stage.
In 2022, Beyond Good and Evil broke the record held by Duke Nukem Forever for the longest development period of a AAA game at more than 15 years.
I still believe they only just started in 2016 or 2017 or something, whatever it was. I truly believe that, and I wouldn't be surprised if it got scrapped.
Somebody said, Tony, somebody says here, is the second game still happening? I was 18 years old when it was revealed, and now I'm 33. So I love Beyond Good and Evil. It's one of my favorite games of all time, but I have no faith in Ubisoft as a company. And I have no faith in them actually releasing anything. So,
Yeah.
Speaking of having no faith in people releasing things, we got an update from Amico about the Intellivision.
I can't believe we still get updates from Amico every now and
So
again.
the Amigo Home TM is excited to announce the public beta release of the Amico Home TM for Android. So they are completely forgetting about the console now, and they're just releasing it as an Android app that you can download from the Android store. And the
Put on
iOS
your Fire
version
Stick.
is coming later.
Right.
And the way they're doing it is, Tony, you still use your phone as a controller, so you need an additional phone in order to turn into a compatible. So you need a compatible Android device to turn into a gaming console controller. You can have as many as 8 controllers in order
I
to
was thinking
game
about
with
this.
this.
Is this? I know like they're not selling it, but is it kind of pay to win? Like if I had if I owned a shit phone and someone else had like an iPhone, I was like, well, I got better touch controls than you, or like one of like an Asus phone that actually has like dedicated shoulder buttons. Like, is this pay to win?
I doubt that they've inputted like actual physical
No,
buttons.
yeah, but the Asus thing, like you can map the physical buttons to like places it clicks on the screen. Like it works with any game.
But basically, Tony, you may be sitting here going, well, wasn't the whole point it was going to be reviving a physical console? Don't worry.
Yeah.
They've said our ability to begin manufacturing Amico consoles in volume requires securing additional investment. The release of Amico Home TM Plus, Home TM puts us on a better footing to attract such investment or to eventually fund manufacturing from the proceeds of Amico Home TM game sales. So basically what they said is, yeah, we promised you we were crowdfunding and making this console. We're going to release it as an Android app, and then hopefully us releasing it as an Android app will allow us the ability to try and find investors to actually release the goddamn console they said they were going to release.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god,
How
the
much did
saga of the Intellivision Amnico just goes on and on and on.
How much did they raise?
Funding, I'd have to look it up.
That was like a fair bit. I thought they got. I know it might not be enough for manufacturing, but I just feel like be upfront with it. Like, surely the backers want to know like what the progress is.
$11,590.
Oh, okay.
Yep, committed to the Intellivision Amnico. 11.5
That's
million.
not enough for manufacturing. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Oh, Ubisoft and Amnico. What are you like? Next up, we have VR news. And the big news I was talking about before. The Steam Link, which is an app that lets you stream games to your phone. You can stream them to your Steam Deck. They've now added basically what is essentially taking Air Link from the Oculus official or Virtual Desktop from the App Store. And basically, Steam's made its own version of Virtual Desktop. You can now stream Steam VR games directly to your Oculus Quest through a Steam Link app on the Oculus Quest store. So this is basically a free version of Airlink, I guess, specifically for Steam games.
It's interesting they put the effort into that, considering they don't. I guess they still get the sales of the games, right?
I mean, specifically, you will have to play the game on Steam VR, but
yeah.
That being said, what other games run without Steam VR on PC is my question. I can't think of many if there are any. The minimum requirements are a router with wired connection to your PC, a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi network for your headset, a GTX 970 or better, Windows 10 or newer, and a MetaQuest 2, 3, or Pro. Recommended but not required, a Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E, and a computer with at least 16 gigabytes, an NVIDIA GPU, and an RTX 2070 or better. I guess maybe they're going to be using NVENC if they're specifically requesting an NVIDIA GPU. For my money right now, based on what they've said, it seems like Virtual Desktop is probably still the most advanced way to play Steam VR games because you are getting stuff like that AV1 support, which we haven't had announced for Steam Link yet, but it is definitely going to be a very easy way for people to be able to stream their Steam VR games to their Quest headsets. I'm wondering if this is legwork for the next Decard standalone headset, where they basically
Oh, you
are
think?
like, I'm assuming this is probably them going, hey, we're making a standalone headset. Let's make it work with the Quest now, and then later when we release the Decard, we can
Yeah.
we can have it set up already. We've got all the testing
Because
done.
people are hyped about the Quest 3, and people, I assume, buying
But at
it
the
for
moment,
Christmas.
Valve's just made Oculus products better. Is what they've done so
Yeah.
far for VR, which
Yeah.
is
But they still keep them on their own platform instead of like going, oh, I'll just
yeah.
leave. Like, they're still trying to be competitive.
People were saying this makes the Quest Pro like a much more viable product in a lot of ways, like an easy way to use that with Steam VR.
The current pricing, maybe, yeah.
Vive Ultimate Tracker has been announced. So it offers body tracking without base stations for the Vive XR Elite and the PC. So if you have a standalone headset, such as a Quest or a Pico or something like that, you can get these trackers, put them on your body, and they have inside-out tracking. There's like, I believe there's cameras on them, and high FOV cameras. So you'll be able to do body tracking with a standalone headset without having to have Steam VR base stations. Which is going to be really, really cool. I mean, there was already a third-party one that was linked to your phone. I think they have it in the article. It was... let's have a look. The Sony released the $450 Mocopi, which was released which worked with VR chat on the MetaQuest standalone via a phone app. But Mocobi used accelerometers and gyroscopes combined with skeletal estimation models. So they're not actually using inside-out tracking. They're just using gyro and acceleration. Whereas with these ones, it's actually going to be like headset tracking quality because they're using inside-out tracking on the cameras. It's probably not going to be as good as Lighthouse tracking, but it's definitely going to be much better full body tracking than you would get estimation from using a standalone headset. This is definitely going to allow social VR people a lot more freedom in terms of, I know dancing in VR is very popular in VR chat, and a lot of people like to use full body tracking to get the full range of motion. And one of the things is people do flips in VR, and I'm like, it makes me cringe thinking about people doing flips with a fucking wire attached to their VR headset, because I'm just like, how the hell do you do that? That being said, these things are going to run on battery, and a wireless headset is going to run on a battery. So if you are going to get this for wireless VR, you're going to want hot swappable batteries for your wireless VR headset, because let's be real, if you're playing VR chat, you're going to be in there a long time usually, right?
Yeah, that's my concern always for these. Maybe you might have a wide experience at that point.
But yeah, so the dongle currently supports the Vive 100 wireless connects to a USB-C dongle, which supports up to 5 trackers at once. The dongle currently only supports HTC's standalone headset, the Vive XR Elite and the Vive Focus 3, as part of the launch, although HTC announced that VR chat is coming to the Vive X3 Elite standalone store in December and will support body tracking via the Ultimate trackers. 2 other standalone games support body tracking at launch, Dance Dash and Skillshot. HTC also plans to support third-party standalone headsets, which may include the MetaQuest at some point in the future, or that there's no estimated timeline for that. So it's going to be a stop and wait with this sort of thing if you're looking at this with a Quest, because they're supporting it for the Vive platform right now, which they're hoping people are just going to buy Vive Elites, I guess, and then eventually it'll come down to that. But I think it is nice to see there is a body tracking option for people who are using standalone headsets, because I know that is a very popular thing to do, especially in social VR. Now,
HTC is still doing stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people use HTC products because they've offered these body trackers for the longest time. If you wanted to use body tracking, you would have to go through HTC. So the Vive Tracker Ultimate is approximately 50% smaller than the Vive Tracker 3.0, although it is 25% heavier at 94 grams. They say you'll get 7 hours of battery life, or very close to the 7.5 hours it quotes for the Vive Tracker 3.0. So you might be able to get away with, a VR chat session on the... I just can't think of any other game where you would use these to play with. Like, not a lot of games have full body tracking. A Beat Saber, if you're streaming it, I don't know.
There must be a niche though if they think that it's worthwhile.
I think honestly, it's VR chat. I mean, there's a reason.
Yeah.
HTC is releasing these with VR chat on the Vive XR Elite.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of HTC's business comes with people buying these for their indexes, for their HTC Vives, for their their Steam VR headsets, and yeah, it looks like an interesting device. So the Vive Ultimate Tracker is priced at $200 each. They require USB-C dongle, which cost $40 extra, and you'll want at least 3 trackers for body tracking. And the HTC will sell you a 3-pack and the dongle for $600. So you would want, what, one on your waist, one on your left foot, one on your right foot would give you the best amount of tracking?
I would assume so, yeah.
Because your hands are going to be tracked. Your hands are going to be tracked by the controllers, and your head's going to be tracked by the headset.
That's what the dancing GIF is like, or his video was showing, right?
But yeah, $600 for full body tracking that only supports the standalone Vive headsets. Right now, this is not a very attractive package, but
no.
Down the line, if this starts supporting the Meta Quest and maybe is a little bit cheaper, I could definitely see this, especially for people with hot swappable batteries for the Quest who want that full immersive wireless experience. This might become a really good purchase.
Yes, I think I find funny thing that maybe like the people at the top like want this. If we release this, people will buy their headsets. But I feel like the real play would be to support other headsets, then get more money to then reinvest into more headset technology.
Let's move on to the next news topic, which is the Quest 3 Elite strap with battery cells paused to fix issues in firmware. So I want to talk about this because personally, I bought the Elite strap for my Meta Quest 3 and I had to send it back because I was having charging issues with it. So I got it. The attachment was very nice for wearing it, but basically it would charge up the battery and I would never able to use the actual pass-through of the extra battery. It was essentially an expensive Elite strap without a battery. I contacted Meta support and basically they were like, no questions asked. Keep this one. We'll send you a new one. And I can report so far the one they've sent me is working flawlessly. So it's basically, from what they said in the article, this was affecting some people's headsets, but not every headset. So it's not, from what I saw on Reddit and what I personally experienced, it has been a lot of people have experienced this, but it's not something that everyone is experiencing. And if basically the advice right now is if you have a problem with your Elite strap, contact Meta support. And I can speak from personal experience, Meta support immediately sent me a new one that worked, and it was incredibly no hassle. It was very much, just keep the old one, and you can use it as essentially an Elite strap. And then, so I could keep the problem as well. I could keep playing VR with a comfortable head strap, and then I got a new head strap that worked. So it's nice to see that their customer support is good, at least. But it's a shame that the head strap launched with this issue, considering the Elite strap for the Quest 2 launched with issues as well. I'm really wondering what's going on with Meta's Q&A testing, if this is the second time we've had an Elite strap with an issue with
Are
the
they
battery.
rushing out the add-on? Or that's the add-on for the release of the main.
The first one, I believe the first one was an issue with the quality of the actual material snapping on the plastic.
Right.
I can say the quality of the plastic so far has been really good. But yeah. And from playing the Meta Quest 3's battery life, I would say it's sort of unusable without an extra battery. I would not
Yeah.
recommend the MetaQuest 3 battery without some sort.
What?
You can get a third-party one now, but I would say, especially so stuff that drains battery, which I love to do, is 120 hertz mode drains battery like crazy, and mixed reality drains battery very fast as well. And I think streaming high quality PC VR can be quite quick on draining the
So
battery as well.
yeah, what sort of battery life were you getting with and without the strap?
Without the strap, it's about 2 hours of battery life, I would say.
2 hours, okay.
And I think the battery adds maybe another
Like
2 hours, I would say.
so,
Depends what
okay.
you
That
do.
seems yeah.
I mean,
I think
there's different things
4
you
hours
can
seems
do to
reasonable.
change the battery life. So one thing
Hmm.
would be turning off mixed reality saves a lot of battery.
Yeah.
Turning the refresh rate down saves a lot of battery. Meta has an official battery saving mode, and I believe one of the things it does is limits the maximum brightness to 70%, and it forces the headset to go into a 72 hertz refresh rate. As somebody who's experienced the high refresh rate VR, I don't want to go back, so I'm going to keep mine at 120 whenever it's possible. And
Yeah.
I've turned the brightness down myself as well. So one thing I've noticed with my one is I was charging it, and every time I would go to pick it up, it would have drained battery quite substantially while it was turned off. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? One of the things I've started doing is I've been turning it on, using it, and then when I'm finished, I actually unplug the external battery from the
Oh,
Elite Strap battery from the USB port, and then when I turn it back on, plugging that back in, and that's actually been not draining the battery from the external battery as much.
so it might be like phantom
Yeah, so I
power
think what's
usage to try
going
and keep it
on
active or something.
is having the external battery plugged in while it's turned off is draining the battery to the headset. It's constantly trying to
Right.
charge the headset, but it's
Yeah.
just draining so much more battery than it would naturally over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know another solution you could do is you could just constantly leave it plugged in. I mean, that's essentially what the 100 pound dock does, which I'm not going to fucking buy because that's so expensive.
No.
But yeah, currently what I've been doing is I've turned brightness down, and I only plug in the external battery when I put the headset on. That's why, and that's been working out good for me. But yeah, shame to see that this is affecting quite a few people with firmware issues. Hopefully they can get this fixed up, and they can get this sorted, and everyone who has an affected headset has a good experience like I did with the Meta support and can get a replacement quickly. Because I think the MetaQuest 3 is a really good headset, and battery life is one of the weakest things, and the Elite Strap is something that really alleviates that.
Yeah, I think the battery life, I think with like the combination, I think if you're saying it's like 4 hours in total, as like a rough guide, I think that is like a reasonable time in my opinion.
Well, I was already very used to every time I would do a play session, like I would play Half-Life Alyx for about 2 hours or something, and then what I would do is I would take off the headset and I would go and eat lunch or do whatever, take a break, and I would just
have a quick break.
I had
recommended anyway.
I had Vive ones, so I was very accustomed to after every play session, I would just plug in the Vive ones and then go off and do something else. So from what I've been doing is when I do a play session, I play for a bit and then I turn it off and then I plug it in, and then I just go off and do something. So it depends how long your play sessions are. If you're doing short play sessions, it's definitely very good. And again, if you Tony, I still haven't plugged this thing. I still need to test this thing out. I have the link cable, but I just love wireless VR so much that I don't want to be tethered again. So if I know I'm going to want to do a really long play session, I'll plug in the link cable, I think, because I'm not going to want to be interrupted by battery stuff. But so far, I've just been doing quick play sessions. So the battery life hasn't been an issue so much.
what experience would you want a long play session for though?
Half Life, a single player campaign, an Alex level game.
Oh, you play for longer than 2 hours with that.
Yeah, sometimes on Half Life Alex, I will play for like 4 hours straight. I mean,
Okay,
I've played
okay.
Gorilla Tag for literally 3 hours straight, and let me tell you,
That's insane
that
to
is an
me.
exhausting thing.
Yeah,
But sometimes you get into a state where you're just really into VR and you want to just keep playing.
right. That's
And
fair.
especially,
I mean,
so for
absolutely, you don't want to be
me,
interrupted with battery stuff.
so
Sure.
for me, I play a lot of games. I like single player campaigns. That's the big thing I like to play.
Yeah.
But people love to play stuff like VR chat, and you all play that for like 10
I
hours a day.
I
Or
could see.
people who
Yeah, I
work
could see
inside
that.
VR,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
not something I'm personally interested in, but
There are
it is
dozens of them.
there's dozens of them. Yeah. But yeah, let's move on to the final VR news, and then we'll end the podcast. H3 VR, if you know what that stands for, it's hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. One of the best
Oh,
gun simulators in VR is getting a massive update called the Institution update, and is essentially a stealth action roguelike mode where you have to attack a base of hot dogs, and then when you get to the top of the base, you then have like to defend it from these like robots, and there's bosses and stuff like that, and guard waves that come through,
that's cool.
and you can
Yeah,
play.
that's really cool.
You can go in guns blazing. You can go through in stealth, and you can take the entire arsenal of hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. You can play through it however you want. You can take a musket
That's
gun.
really cool.
You can take a pistol. You can take
Well,
a.
you have to
You can go in
reload.
stealthy. You can go horseshoes, hot dogs, miniguns. One of my favorite experiences with H3 VR is playing Meat Fortress, which is the official TF2 game mode for H3 VR, which essentially lets you pick up the TF2 weapons and use them inside VR, which then gave me the experience of picking up TF2 weapons and being like, how the fuck do the mercenaries from TF2 fire these weapons? They make no sense.
Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah,
to reload
isn't it
in the
insane? This game
blimey.
came out like what? Like probably like 6 years ago or something like that, and it's still receiving
it that
free
old?
updates. Yeah, it came out in
Blimey.
2016, so about
Are they
6 or 7 years ago.
They still selling new units? Because like me, like I would see this and go, "Oh, I need to
Well,
get this,"
Tony,
but
you
I
know, I
wouldn't have done
said
it on
Sons of the
launch.
Forest early access for a year. That seems kind of short. This game's
Yeah,
been in early
yeah.
access for 7 years, so
I think that's on the longer side, but it's more in line with what I expect.
yeah, I think if you get a VR headset, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't pick up this game. It
Yeah,
usually goes on.
it
It
looks
is
great.
£15, but you can. Has it been on sale before? I'm not seeing one on Steam. I think maybe I just picked this up off sale because it's always 15. It's always cheap, so it's always
Yeah,
worth getting.
it sounds really, really good value for money.
But yeah. That's the final news topics. Let's move on to the Peter Molyneux tweet. So we actually have a Peter Molyneux tweet this time instead of Peter Molyneux.
Okay.
And he said here, I love what Remedy are doing. They're creating multiple games within the same universe. That way, if the gamers ask, isn't this the same table asset from that other game? You can just say, same universe, and it shuts them up. Thanks for that
Do people?
dose of wisdom.
I know it's a meme. But do people complain about them seeing the same asset between games? I'm sure that's fine.
I think people probably complained about Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, maybe? Because Fallout New Vegas uses a lot of assets from Fallout 3. That's one off the top of my head.
But as long as it matches, surely it's fine. Like,
Yeah.
if there's like stuff missing, is that they didn't create new stuff enough, like fine. But if you're playing like, oh, they're using the same table, I think it's a bit different. Like, yeah, I know this is a meme. I don't know how many people actually complain about that.
We've got some replies. If somebody carves their name into a table in one game, should the carving show up in the next game? Now that's a good idea.
I will say this.
Yeah.
I like Dragon Age and like Mass Effect. I think other games did this as well, but like transferring, like I guess Witcher does it, right?
Yeah.
Like transferring saves between games and like tracking your choices.
That's something that somebody was saying. I think it was on Reddit the other day, where they were
we
like,
need
"What
more of
happened
that,
to
I
games
think.
like The Witcher and Mass
Yeah.
Effect, where
Yeah.
you play the game and you can import your character, and your choices in the
Yeah.
game affect the next
Yeah.
game?" My thoughts
Yeah.
is it's probably just really hard to do, and
It
it
is.
also alienates new players. Is probably the reason they don't do it anymore.
It is, but I think it does add a huge amount of replayability. I don't think I would have played it as much if it didn't do that. I think I think you'd get more latent sales if you put the effort in. There is
Yeah.
something to be said, however, with Mass Effect 3. I decided to play that without transferring a save the first time round, and oh boy, do you not know? Some people are named differently if you don't play the previous game.
Yeah, I mean, in The Witcher 3, immediately there was an option to simulate a Witcher 2 save.
To me, that's the best of both worlds. That you just go, okay, you didn't play the first game. You can simulate some basic choices, and like, oh, well, then if you want to go and have like a more in-depth decision making, you can go back and buy the older games. I think that's the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
Check us out, youtube.com at Everything In Between Podcast if you want to watch any of the VODs, Tangerine Spotlight, twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live, at Scorn2000 on Twitter if you want to follow me there, and shows.ocast.com/everything-in-between-podcast. There will be the audio version, and there will be links to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want to listen to it on your preferred podcast platform. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.